panelists to come and occupy the dais. Please occupy the dais. Respected dignitaries on and off the stairs, distinguished scholars, experts from across India, faculty members, researchers, students, and honored guests. It is with my immense pride and deep responsibility that I welcome you all for this national conference. The conversation we hold today revolves around one of the most defining realities of the time, migration and vulnerability. As the sociologist Zygmunt Bauman once observed, the greatest challenge of our time is not mobility, but the inequality the mobility relieves. Today, we are here to discuss migration. We are here to give the voice to the unheard. We are here for the visibility to the invisible and protection to the unprotected. We shall now begin the parallel paper presentations. We have scholars from across the country presenting their research on various facets of migration. Venue 1, Video Conference Hall. Theme 1, Identity, Gender, Policy, and Global Realities. Venue 2, K.N. George Hall, 4th floor. Main building. Theme 1, Identity, Gender, Policy, and Global Realities. Theme 2, Identity, Gender, Policy, and Global Realities. Venue 3, 3rd floor, Conference Hall. Venue theme, Long-Term Migration Drivers. We now move to one of the most anticipated segments, the panel discussion. The theme of the panel is Migration and Vulnerability, addressing trafficking, exploitation, protection across gender and age. To guide and moderate the important panel discussion, we have with us Dr. Jaffer, Assistant Professor at the Madras Institute of Development Studies, who works focused on development and migration studies. I now invite Ms. Prita Aravindan, Joint Secretary of Social Work Forum, to kindly introduce our moderator, Dr. Jaffer.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my privilege to introduce the moderator for the panel discussion today at our national conference, Dr. K. Jaffer. Dr. K. Jaffer currently serves as an assistant professor at the Madras Institute of Development Studies, Chennai, where his work focuses on critical issues in development studies. He has completed his doctoral research at the National Institute of Advanced Studies, Bangalore, and later pursued postdoctoral research in the Council for Social Development, Hyderabad, under the ICSSR Postdoctoral Fellowship. Before joining MIDS, Dr. K. Jaffer has contributed to several reputed academic institutions, including Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Hyderabad, Council for Social Development, Azim Premji University, Bangalore, and the Center for Development Studies, Thiruvananthapuram. He is widely recognized for his contributions to development research. He is the author of the book Education, Migration, and Human Development, Kerala Experienced, published by Rawat Publications. His research has also appeared in several reputed academic journals such as Oxford Development Studies, Social Change, Journal of Social Inclusion Studies, and Journal of Health Management. Over the years, he has actively engaged in research, teaching, and policy discussions on themes such as migration, social policy, labor markets, and inclusive development, contributing to both academic scholarship and policy-oriented research in India. With his extensive research experience and insights into development and migration studies, we are truly honored to have Dr. Jaffer with us today. On behalf of the Social Work Forum and the Department of Social Work Aided, I extend a very warm welcome to our respected Chief Guest, Dr. K. Jaffer. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Priti, for the wonderful introduction. Our first distinguished panelist is Dr. Esther Maria Selvam, Associate Director at Action Aid Association, who works extensively on gender justice and social development. I now invite Ms. Arundhati to introduce Dr. Esther Maria Selvam.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my privilege to introduce our esteemed panelist, Dr. Esther Maria Selvam, to the discussion. Dr. Esther Maria Selvam is a distinguished social work professional, researcher, and development leader with over 34 years of dedicated service in advancing the rights and dignity of the marginalized community. She pursued her passion for social change by completing her postgraduate studies in social work and an MPhil from Loyola College under the University of Madras, and later earning PhD. Currently serving as an Associate Director of the Southern Cluster at Action Aid Association, she leads transformative initiatives focusing on human rights, gender justice, and community empowerment. She was instrumental in the formation of Tamil Nadu Transgender Welfare Board in 2008, advocating for the rights of the gender minorities, and has supported nearly 4,000 landless Dalit women in securing over 1,200 acres of land titles. Her remarkable contribution have earned her several prestigious recognition, including the Justice Shivraj V. Patil Award for Service to Humanity, Malala Achiever Award, Lifetime Achievement Award from Tamil Nadu Differently Abled Charitable Trust, Best Social Work Practitioner Award in 2022 from Bishop Herbert College, and Catholic Woman Achiever Award 2025. Today, we are truly honored to have such an inspiring social work practitioner and leader. On behalf of Department of Social Work and Social Work Forum, I welcome Dr. Maria Selvam to the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Arundhati. Our next panelist is Mr. Kaliya Perumal N., State Coordinator of Indian Labour Line, who will share the perspectives on realities of circular migration from crisis to rescue. I now invite Mr. Shadrak to introduce Mr. Kaliya Perumal N.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Kaliya Perumal, State Coordinator for the India Labour Line at the Chennai Facilitation Center in Tamil Nadu, and Worker Training and Research Support Officer at CVDEP India. He holds a degree in social work from Nirmala Niketan College of Social Work, Mumbai, and has completed a basic labor law course from National HRD Network along with an SA 8000 auditor certification. With over 25 years of experience working on labor rights and migrant worker issues, including 18 years with CVDEP India, Mr. Kaliya Perumal has been actively involved in worker education, research and advocacy across sectors such as electronics, leather and plantations. In his current role with India Labour Line, he leads initiatives that support informal workers facing labor rights violations and help facilitate access to justice and grievance redressal mechanisms. We are delighted to have him with us today. On behalf of everyone present here, I warmly welcome and thank Mr. Kaliya Perumal for joining us in this panel discussion. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Shadrak. Our next panelist is Mr. Solomon, Head of Program Partnership at International Justice Mission, who works on issues related to bonded labor, human trafficking, and migrant exploitation. I now request Ms. Cynthia to introduce Mr. Solomon.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my privilege to extend a warm welcome as we introduce our distinguished guest, Solomon Anthony. Who currently serves as the head of the program partnership at International Justice Mission. Mr. Solomon Anthony brings with him more than 15 years of dedicated professional experience in the social sector. His journey with International Justice Mission began in 2010 when he joined as a community development officer. During this time, he played a privileged role in supporting the rescue of hundreds of individuals who were victims of labor trafficking. He later served as a rehabilitational officer where he worked closely with government authorities to facilitate rehabilitational service for survivors of bond labor, ensuring their reintegration and restoration of dignity. In 2018, he assumed the role of lead strategic engagements with civil society organizations. In this capacity, he collaborated intensively with civil society groups. Okay. We are truly honored to have such an experienced and passionate leader with us today, whose work continues to make a meaningful impact in the fight against injustice and exploitation. With great pleasure, I invite Mr. Solomon Anthony to address us and share his insights.
Thank you, Cynthia, for the introduction. Finally, we have Ms. Asha Parag Nandini, member of Child Welfare Committee, who will speak on how migration increases the risk of child trafficking and exploitation. I now invite Mr. Srini to introduce Ms. Asha Parag Nandini.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce Ms. Asha Parag Nandini, a social work professional with extensive experience in community development, social welfare, and public service. She holds a master's degree in social work from Bharathidasan University and completed her studies at Kaveri College Pavaman, Tiruchirappalli. With nearly 2 decades of experience across government departments and civil society organizations, Ms. Asha served as a city-level coordinator with Greater Chennai Corporation, where she coordinated programs supporting homeless individuals and other vulnerable groups. She recently joined the Child Welfare Committee on 16th April 2025, continuing her dedication to child protection and welfare. Her dedication to social service being recognized through several awards, including multiple Women Achiever Awards. We are delighted to have her with us today. On behalf of everyone present, I warmly welcome and thanks Ms. Asha Parag Nandini for joining us. Ma'am, we look forward to your insights. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Srini, for the introduction. Thank you to all our distinguished panelists for joining us today. Now, I request our moderator, Dr. Jaffers, to kindly begin the panel discussion and guide the session, sir. The mic is yours, sir.
Thank you. I take this opportunity also to thank the organization or organizers for holding this session and also for the invitation. And I think we have 4 people, 4 experts in there, specifically working on this this segment, and I don't want to take much. And I understand that the broader context is already set in the morning sessions. And before moving to this specific thing, I just want to remind a few a couple of points. One thing is okay, this is sort of maybe a more kind of a reflexive section that look very specific segment of the people. Broadly, the one character that share is that they all work or they live or they pass through very risky and very shady or very vulnerable sort of areas. We and again within that also we largely we have a focus thing on women, children, and again maybe within the vulnerable workers, bonded labor, or the most vulnerable segment of the people who are involved in migration. And again, as such, I don't work in the forced migration or a migration process in the extreme context. I largely work on voluntary migration, but again, I've been looking into the formula of the process of informalization or the sort of structural transition within the economy. That way, sort of I also find this as a kind of a learning opportunity to hear. And yeah, the other thing is I think we will start with a one first round of kind of I think every panelist has been already given a topic, so I don't want to start with my own questions. I feel that we initially we'll have a individual panelist speaking for like maybe 10 minutes, and then we'll like the second round we'll go like already I think that all sessions are lagging, and later we'll take from that. And within that, I like also try like sort of remind like for the larger like benefit, like to identify the broader thing, plus the unique and the very specific intervention what you are like doing in that field. You've been like mostly you have been all your four of you have been like practicing, and you've been actively involved in that unique like uniqueness of your intervention, your sort of that specific area that like had something more than the general like migration stories. So and then like the next session maybe if you start like yeah, we wanted to also look into the broadly the what are the key specific challenges, and more specifically on the governance or sort of addressing the specific sectoral specific issue. So I'll follow the same order what we have it in the brochure. I'll start with Dr. Esther. I invite Dr. Esther to make initial remarks. Thank you.
Very good afternoon to everyone. Yeah, I mean, when Stephen sir spoke before lunch, he was saying it's always difficult to speak before and after. I think this is post-lunch, and it's really challenging. And also looking at the number in the auditorium, like, yeah, I suppose everyone is busy with the paper presentation, and not many are really present in this room. Well, the topic given to me is actually gendered migration, vulnerabilities and intervention. So I just would like to take you all almost about more than 2 decades back. I belong to an organization called Action Aid. It's an NGO. It's a global organization. And when we began our work in this particular state of Tamil Nadu, we used to see people migrating from different districts to the cities, wherever, like mostly to Chennai. It's a kind of like intra-state, within the state, between different districts. And since morning, we have been hearing about different types of migration: overseas migration, interstate migration, intra-state migration, and within the state and within the city, there is one more migration, that is the internal migration, which happens due to displacement. And varied factors like even the panelists post-tea, they were talking about the various push factor as well as the pull factor for migration. And when we look at particularly women, initial days, as I said, 2 decades back, when this migration was happening, mostly men used to come to the different cities or headquarters of the districts for work, sometimes with a wife, leaving behind the children who will be taken care by the elderly in the house. Okay, after some time, that used to be a seasonal migration. Whenever they are not able to cultivate, do their agriculture, then they're in search of livelihood and jobs, they migrate to the city. And later on, you do see that a lot of other kind of migration started happening, particularly interstate. Like people from the other states also started migrating to almost different cities in the southern states. Like, you know, like the source point and the destination where people come in, and especially women and children. And they do have a lot of challenges, they face a lot of challenges in terms of sexual exploitation, trafficking, and labor exploitation. All these kind of challenges are faced by them. I kind of like to restrict myself more towards internal displacement, internal migration, where my PhD thesis also focus on, particularly on the vulnerability of young married working women in the relocation sites of Chennai. Why I'm talking about this, like, first, when we look at gender, we need to understand the vulnerability only when through the lens of gender. Because when gender role comes, it's generally it's been stereotyped that women are actually meant to provide care services at home and men are the so-called breadwinners. Whereas in my study, it was like, it's a kind of a revealing factor where I found that after people have been relocated from the heart of the city to the peripheries, the relocation sites like Chemanjeri, Kannaginagar, Padapai, Navallur, in my study we found that some of the men stay back at home because once they move to the peripheries, they lose their livelihood. They lose their opportunity for jobs. So women are no other go, they are forced because men are into alcoholism and women are forced to somehow find jobs. And here again the vulnerability faced by women are, they also don't find productive work. Okay, if you look at the ILO pillar of decent work means it is access to productive work and access to, fair wages and to have a work environment free of violence and where they have opportunity for personality development and opportunity to unionize and things like that. When women move to the relocation, they don't have opportunities for productive work and they don't get fair wages. They are not in a position, their vulnerability is that they are not in a position to negotiate with the employer because lack of availability of job opportunities. So therefore, they are forced to actually take up any kind of a job which even pays them not the fair wage, low wages. And another revealing factor in my study is that more than 60% of the women, for lack of proper livelihood opportunities in their surroundings, they tend to travel back to the original place from where they have been displaced to the periphery. Which means that imagine from Chemanjeri, Kannaginagar, they have to travel in a day for about more than 1.5 hours to 2 hours in the morning and 1.5 hours to 2 hours in the evening, night. So, from Padapai Navallur, people used to travel early morning around 5 o'clock, okay, to reach their workplace. And before they leave, as their care work demands, they have to cook for their children and family and attend to everything, then they have to leave for their work. And when they reach back home also, it will be late in the night. And another concern for women is that when they travel like this, they are so much worried about their girl children, leaving them behind. We ourselves have come across many instances of children being sexually assaulted, even a child of 1 year, 2 years old, a child of 5-year-old, or young women. See, here we need to actually understand the vulnerability of women through the intersectional lens. Women from the different age group, like elderly women or women from the younger age, each of them have given the identity that they hold. A single women, married women, working women, given their intersectional identity depending upon the caste and class to where they belong, their vulnerability also increases. Multiple vulnerability they face. In fact, women prefer to work closer to their residential area for low wages to take care of their children. For lack of protection mechanism that are available, they prefer, even though they get low wages, they want to take care of their children. So they compromise on decent work and decent wages. And another challenges faced by these women, the vulnerability they are subjected to is lack of gender responsive public services. Like the burden of care work on women has increased multiple fold when they are actually relocated to the peripheries for lack of opportunities. We have come across instances of where a woman was rushed to the hospital in the city for delivery. She had just delivered outside the hospital because they don't have adequate healthcare facilities. I'm talking about few years back, and of course there are a lot of changes have happened now. They lack proper transport system. That also actually took longer time for them to travel, and these kind of challenges and violence. In fact, during one of my focus group discussion, I was challenged by my participants saying, ma'am, we'll throw a challenge for you. If only you can walk from the beginning of the road till the end of the road in Perumbakam after sunset, then we will really appreciate you. That means like women say that indirectly they are communicating to us that so much of violence they face after sunsetting, and women face all kinds of sexual assault, and all the time they are under so much of threat. They totally absolutely lack safety for varied other reasons also, like drug menace and things like that actually all prevail in that relocation sites. So, and I still vividly remember in 2015, I mean, is it voluntarily they opt for this kind of relocation, or it comes into by force? I vividly remember the incident of a woman who narrated her story of when 2015 flood happened in the midnight around 12 o'clock, like when the water level was rising, she didn't know what to do because the water almost like came up to her neck. After some time, she will actually get submerged in the water. That time she was saying like, I didn't opt to be relocated to the peripheries, but I was forced because I literally got scared after seeing the water level rising in my location. And when they came like this, and initially they faced lot of challenges, and of course like one of a strong agenda was that people should be relocated within the radius of 3 kilometers so that they can have access to livelihood. And I could very well see that at least this has now recently happened, most recently, as Mr. Stephen has pointed out. We also work among the homeless community who have been recently relocated within 3 kilometer radius, where they can somewhat have access to livelihood, and that is the greatest success of our intervention. Our continued advocacy has actually resulted, and of course for a lot of other aspects also in these kind of locations when women face so much of safety threats or a lack of access to gender responsive public services, and we could see that all those things are actually happening. In fact, as part of my thesis, the recommendations whatever I have given, I completed my PhD defended in 2023. Now within this like 3 years, I could see all those recommendations are really coming into a reality. Like for example, health was a major issue. Now I think about a week back, the Deputy CM has inaugurated the hospital in Perumbakam. So those kind of changes are actually happening. So these are the vulnerabilities actually due to internal migration, women, girl children, they face in these kind of relocation sites. I stop with this, maybe like later on. Yeah, I passed my time. Moderator didn't say anything about the time. Okay. I see it. Okay. I now like invite Mr. Kalia Perumal to make his remarks.
Vanakkam. So in the morning, Professor Anuradha said migration is a right. But I would like to say, going forward, one step forward, and say that migration is our part of life. So migration is நம்ம வாழ்க்கையில ஒரு அங்கம். So in that kind, அந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு கான்டெக்ஸ்ட்ல we have to அந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு கான்டெக்ஸ்ட்ல இன்னைக்கு மைக்ரேஷன் போயிட்டு இருக்கு. So I would like to address the circular migrationல என்ன மாதிரியான crisis from crisis to rescueல என்ன மாதிரி இருக்குன்னு சொல்லி I would like to address. Yeah. So basically India Labour Line, our project, it's a national project. We address grievances of informal workers across the country, especially in the informal sector, unorganized workers, many area of workers like MSME workers, construction workers, company workers who are working in an informal way, but in the formal sector. For example, if you go to Sriperumbudur, Uragadam, those areas are a lot of formal facilities that are there, but they're working as a informal workers. So those workers issues. So like that we are addressing all kind of informal workers issues. We are giving more priority to the informal workers. So the grievances are the crisis என்னன்னு பார்த்தோம் அப்படின்னா, the main crisis is the wage is their main crisis. பெரும்பாலான தொழிலாளர்களுக்கு ஏற்படக்கூடிய மிகப்பெரிய பிரச்சனை வேஜ் தெஃப்ட். அவர்களுடைய மிகப்பெரிய பிரச்சனையே வேஜ் தான். பலதரப்பட்ட பிரச்சனை இருக்கலாம் அவங்கள்ட்ட, பட் ஆனால் they don't want to emphasize and they don't want to highlight their other problems and they are giving more priority for their wage theft. ஏன்னா அவங்க வரதே இங்கே சம்பளத்துக்காக தான் வராங்க. அந்த சம்பளமே அவங்களுக்கு சரியாக கொடுக்கப்படுறதில்ல, அது சுரண்டப்படுறது, அதில் ஏற்படுகிற பிரச்சனைகள், அதை தான் அவங்க ப்ரையாரிட்டியாக பார்க்குறாங்க. தவிர அது தவிர்த்து நிறைய பிரச்சனை இருக்குது. எக்ஸ்ப்ளாய்டேஷன்ஸ் இருக்குது, ஹராஸ்மெண்ட் இருக்குது, மெடிக்கல் கிளைம் கிடைக்கிறதில்ல, பெனிஃபிட் இருக்கிறதில்ல, எந்த விதமான என்டைட்டில்மெண்ட் அவங்களுக்கு கிடையாது. பட் அதெல்லாம் அவங்க பெருசாகவே அதை ஹைலைட் பண்ண வர்றதில்லை. ஏன்னா பிரதானமான பிரச்சனையே அவங்களுக்கு வந்து சம்பளமே அவங்களுக்கு ஒரு மிகப்பெரிய பிரச்சனையாக இருக்குது. அதில் தொடங்குற பிரச்சனை, அதுலேருந்து அவங்க வெளியே வர்றதுக்கே முடியல. ஸோ அதனாலே என்ன பண்ணுறாங்க, அந்த பிரச்சனையை சால்வ் பண்ண முடியாது, இன்னொரு இடத்துக்கு போயிடுறாங்க. They are moving from one place to another place. They are not ready to fight in that particular issue. ஸோ அதை நம்ம எல்லா இடத்துலையும் பார்க்க முடியுது. கம்பெனியில் வேலை செய்கிற ஒர்க்கர்ட்டையும் நம்ம பார்க்க முடியுது, இல்லை வேறு இடத்துல வேலை செய்கிற எங்கேயுமே சரி, அந்த பிரச்சனைக்காக அவங்க போராட அவங்க ரெடியாகவே இருக்கிறதில்ல. ஏன்னா அவங்கள்ட்ட தேவையான அந்த போதுமான அந்த சோர்ஸோ அதுக்கான சப்போர்ட்டோ அவங்கள்ட்ட இருக்கிறதில்ல. இன்னொன்று ஒரு பெரிய ஒரு கிரைசிஸ் என்ன, அவங்கள்ட்ட ஒரு சாலிடாரிட்டி இருக்கிறதில்ல. இப்போ தான் ரீசெண்டாக ஏதோ சில அசோசியேஷன்லாம் ஃபார்ம் ஆகிட்டு இருக்குது. பட் ஒரு ப்ராடராக பார்த்தாச்சுன்னா they don't have any kind of association to support their crisis. ஓகே, ஸோ இந்த மாதிரி பிரச்சனைகளில் இந்தியா லேபர் லைன் நாங்கள் என்ன பண்ணுறோம், இந்தியா லேபர் லைன் இது வரைக்குமே ஓவரால் அக்ராஸ் எங்கள் இந்தியா முழுவதுமே 49,000க்கு மேற்பட்ட கம்ப்ளைண்ட் நாங்கள் ரிஜிஸ்டர் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். அதில் 40% கம்ப்ளைண்ட் நாங்கள் ரிசால்வ் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். இதில் பெரும்பாலான கம்ப்ளைண்ட் எல்லாம் வேஜ் கம்ப்ளைண்ட் தான். வேஜ் கிடைக்கல, காம்பன்சேஷன், மெடிக்கல் கிளைம், ஹராஸ்மெண்ட், பலதரப்பட்ட பிரச்சனை. இதில் பாண்ட் அண்ட் லேபர் கேஸஸ் கூட நம்ம ரெஸ்கியூ பண்ணியிருக்கோம். லாஸ்ட்டு ஒரு 6-7 மந்த்ஸ்க்கு முன்னாடி கூட ஒரு பாண்ட் அண்ட் லேபர் கேஸில் நம்ம ஐசிஎம் ரொம்ப சப்போர்ட் பண்ணாங்க, திருவள்ளூர்லேருந்து நம்ம அதை ரெஸ்கியூ பண்ணுறதுக்கு ஒரு பிரிக் இண்டஸ்ட்ரியில். ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி ரிசால்வ் இது வரைக்கும் 40% ஆஃப் கேசஸ் வி ரிசால்வ். இதில் பார்த்தாச்சுன்னா 60 crore rupees நம்ம வந்து எம்ப்ளாயர் கிட்ட இருந்து ஒர்க்கருக்கு வந்து நம்ம வந்து ரெக்கவர் பண்ணி கொடுத்துருக்கோம். ஸோ வேஜுங்கிறது வந்து ஒரு மிகப்பெரிய ஒரு க்ரைசஸாக நம்ம இந்த சர்க்குலர் மைக்ரேஷனில் பார்க்குறோம். ப்ளஸ் வந்துட்டு தே ஆர் புட்டிங் இன் டு தி ப்ரிகாரியஸ் நேச்சர் ஆஃப் ஒர்க். அவங்களுடைய ஒர்க் பண்ணுற ஸ்டைலே பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ரொம்பவும் ஒரு ப்ரிகாரியஸ் நேச்சரில் தான் இருக்குது. ஈவன் இந்த கம்பெனியில் கூட போயாச்சுன்னா ஒரு லோடிங் அன்லோடிங் பாயிண்டில் ஒர்க் பண்ணுவாங்க, இல்லைனா வந்து ஒரு பேக்கிங் பாயிண்டில் இருப்பாங்க, இல்லைனா வந்து லீவ் இல்லாமல் வேலை செய்கிற ஒரு கண்டினியூஸ் லாங் ஹவர்ஸ் ஒர்க் பண்ணுற ஒரு இடத்துல ஒர்க் பண்ணுவாங்க. அவங்களோட வேஜஸ் கம்பேர் பண்ணிங்கன்னா மற்றவங்களோட ரொம்ப கம்மியாக இருக்கும். ஸோ இந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு நேச்சர் ஆஃப் ஒர்க், ஈவன் இந்த பொதுவாகவே கம்பெனியில் வந்து பெரனியல் நேச்சர் ஆஃப் ஒர்க்குக்கு வந்துட்டு ஒரு டெம்பரவரியான ஸ்டேட்டில் யாரையும் வேலைக்கு வைக்கக்கூடாதுங்கிறது லேபர் லா சொல்லுது. பட் அதன்படி பார்த்தா கூட எந்த ஒரு இன்ஃபார்மல் ஒர்க், ஒரு மைக்ரண்ட் ஒர்க்கரோ இல்லை வந்து ஒரு இன்ஃபார்மல் ஸ்டேட்டில் இருக்கிற ஒர்க்கரோ, ஆனால் அந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு ட்ரீட் பண்ணுறது கிடையாது. பெரனியல் நேச்சர் ஆஃப் ஒர்க் தான் கொடுக்குறாங்க, பட் டெம்பரரியாக தான் அவங்கள ட்ரீட் பண்ணுறாங்க. இதை நம்ம நிறைய இடத்துல நம்ம பார்க்க முடியுது. ஸோ இதில் வந்து நம்ம வந்து இப்போ நாங்கள் சென்னையில் we are working in 4 districts, சென்னை, திருவள்ளூர், காஞ்சிபுரம் டிஸ்ட்ரிக்ட். இந்த 4 டிஸ்ட்ரிக்ட்டுமே நம்ம ரொம்ப இன்டென்சிவாக ஒர்க் பண்ணுறோம். இதில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா இது வரைக்குமே நாங்கள் மோர் தென் 1600 கம்ப்ளைண்ட்ஸ் நம்ம ரிசீவ் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். இதில் மோர் தென் 600 கேஸ் நம்ம ஃபுல்லாக ரிசால்வ் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். இதில் பலதரப்பட்ட கம்ப்ளைண்ட்ஸ் இருக்குது. ஈவன் வேஜ் கேசஸ் இருக்குது, காம்பன்சேஷன் கேசஸ் இருக்குது, மெடிக்கல் ஆக்சிடென்டல் கேசஸ் இருக்குது, சர்டிஃபிகேட் ஹோல்ட் பண்ணி வச்சுட்டாங்க அந்த மாதிரி கேசஸ்லாம் இருக்குது, ஹராஸ்மெண்ட் இருக்குது. ஸோ ஆல் கைண்ட் ஆஃப் கேசஸ் நம்ம இதில் அட்ரஸ் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். ஏன்னா இதில் வந்து இது வரைக்குமே ஒரு 1.5 crore rupees நம்ம வந்து ரெக்கவர் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். எம்ப்ளாயிட்டிருந்து எம்ப்ளாயிஸ்க்கு நம்ம கொடுத்துருக்கோம். ஸோ என்ன சொல்ல வரோம் அப்படின்னா, ரெஸ்கியூ ஃபேக்டர் அண்ட் கிரைசிஸ் ஃபேக்டர் வந்து சர்க்குலர் மைக்ரேஷன் வந்து ரொம்ப வந்து ஹையாகவே இருக்குது. இதை வந்து ஒரு ஹெல்ப்லைன் ஆஸ் இந்த இந்தியா லேபர் லைன் வந்து இன்றைக்கி வந்து ரொம்ப பெரிய ரீச் பண்ணுற அளவுக்கு, அதை எவ்வளோ ரீச் பண்ண முடியுதோ அந்த அளவுக்கு நம்ம கம்ப்ளைண்ட் வந்துட்டு இருக்கு. பட் ஆனால் இது ஒரு ஹெல்ப்லைனால் எல்லாமே பண்ண முடியும்னா முடியாது. பட் கவர்மெண்ட்டுடைய சப்போர்ட் நமக்கு அதிகமாக இருக்கணும், லோக்கல் பாடி சப்போர்ட் அதிகமாக இருக்கணும், இன்னும் நிறைய ஸ்டேக் ஹோல்டர்ஸு, கிராஸ்ரூட் லெவல் ஆர்கனைசேஷன் சப்போர்ட்லாம் இருந்தால் மட்டும்தான் இந்த சர்க்குலர் மைக்ரேஷனில் இருக்கிற பிரச்சனைகளை நம்ம வந்து இன்னமும் வந்து களைய முடியும். அகைன் நாங்கள் இன்னொரு இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் பாயிண்ட் நம்ம என்ன பார்க்குறோன்னா, இந்த சர்க்குலர் மைக்ரேஷனில் தெர் ஆர் மீடியேட்டர்ஸ், த ஏஜென்ட்னு சொல்லக்கூடியவர்கள் அல்லது வந்து இந்த இன்சார்ஜ்னு சொல்கிறவங்க தான் வந்து பிரதானமான ஒரு ஆளாக இருக்காங்க. ஈவன் இந்த மார்னிங் அனுராதா சொல்லும்போது கூட சொன்னாங்க, எம்ப்ளாயர் யாருன்னே வந்து ஒர்க்கர்ஸ் தெரியுதில்லை. நாங்கள் ஒரு ஸ்டெப் மேலே போயிட்டு சொல்ல விரும்புகிறேன், எம்ப்ளாயர் யாருன்னு தெரிஞ்சாலும் கூட எம்ப்ளாயர் அவங்களுக்கு அந்த பொறுப்பை ஏற்றுக்க விரும்புகிறதே கிடையாது. அந்த ஒர்க்கர்ஸ்க்கான எந்த ஒரு நலத்திட்டத்திலையும் அந்த முதலாளிகள் பொறுப்பு ஏற்றுக்க விரும்புகிறதே இல்லை. அதை நம்ம வந்து நிறைய இடத்துல நாங்கள் பார்த்துருக்கோம். ஸோ ஒர்க்கர் வந்துட்டு கான்ட்ராக்டர் தான் ஒரு பிரின்சிபல் எம்ப்ளாயராக பார்க்குறாரு. ஒர்க்கர் வந்துட்டு எம்ப்ளாயர் வந்து ஒரு தன்னோட எம்ப்ளாயராகவே ஒர்க்கர் நினைக்கிறதில்ல. அந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு என்வரான்மெண்ட்டு கிரியேட் பண்ணியிருக்கு. அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு சென்சேஷன் வந்து கிரியேட் பண்ணி வச்சுருக்காங்க. என்வரான்மெண்ட்டே இருக்குது அந்த மாதிரி. ஸோ இதெல்லாமே வந்து மாறாத பட்சத்தில் இந்த க்ரைசிஸ் வந்து நாளுக்கு நாள் இன்க்ரீஸ் ஆகிட்டே தான் இருக்கும். ரெஸ்க்யூ பண்ணுற ஃபேக்டர் வந்து ரொம்ப கஷ்டமாக தான் இருக்கும். ஸோ நீ இப்போ ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் எங்கள் ரீசெண்டாக ஒரு கம்ப்ளைண்ட் வந்தது திருவண்ணாமலை டிஸ்ட்ரிக்ட்லேருந்து. இந்த கம்ப்ளைண்ட் என்ன அப்படின்னா, ஒரு 5 பேருக்கு வந்து 2 மாதம் சம்பளம் கொடுக்கல, அவ்வளோதான் பிரச்சனை. கம்ப்ளைண்ட் ஒர்க்கர் கொடுத்தாரு, ஏதோ ஒரு கான்டாக்ட் நம்பர் நம்ம ஹெல்ப்லைன் கிடச்சி கால் பண்ணாங்க, கம்ப்ளைண்ட் நாங்கள் ரிசீவ் பண்ணோம். நம்ம அட்ரஸ் பண்ணும்போதே ஒர்க்கர் வந்து விட்ரா பண்ண ரெடி ஆகிட்டார். கம்ப்ளைண்ட்டு விட்ரா பண்ணுங்கள், என்ன ரொம்ப ப்ரெஷர் பண்ணுறாங்க. அப்புறம் என்ன சொல்கிறாங்க, அந்த கான்ட்ராக்டர் என்ன சொல்கிறாங்கன்னா, நீங்கள் வந்து கம்ப்ளைண்ட் விட்ராவல் பண்ணிட்டுன்னு சொல்லி லெட்டர் ஒன்று கொடுங்க, நாங்கள் இந்த அவருக்கு நாங்கள் அந்த பெண்டிங் வேஜஸ் கொடுக்குறோன்னு சொல்லி சொன்னாங்க. நாங்கள் நிறைய கண்டிஷன்லாம் போட்டு ஒரு லீகல் நோட்டீஸ் அனுப்பிச்சோம். இல்லை நீங்கள் கண்டிஷன் இல்லாமல் லெட்டர் கொடுங்க, நாங்கள் வேணால் அதுக்கப்புறம் வந்து பேமெண்ட் பண்ணுறோன்னு சொன்னாங்க. ஒர்க்கரே கன்வின்ஸ் ஆகிறாங்க. ஏன்னா நாங்களும் என்ன பண்ணுறோம், கடைசியில் அல்டிமேட்டாக நமக்கு ஒர்க்கருக்கு வந்து அவங்க ஒர்க் பண்ணதான அந்த சம்பளத்தை வாங்கி தரது தான் நம்முடைய அல்டிமேட்டான ஒர்க்கு. ஸோ இந்த மாதிரியான சுச்சுவேஷனில் ஏன்னா ஒர்க்கருக்கு வந்து அவ்வளோ ஸ்ட்ராங்கான ஒரு பேக்ரவுண்ட் இருக்கிறது இல்லை, அவ்வளோ ஸ்ட்ராங்கான ஒரு என்ன சொல்கிறது ஒரு 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 சப்போர்ட் இன்னும் அவங்களுக்கு கிடைக்கிறது இல்லை. ஸோ இந்த மாதிரியான சூழல் வந்து இன்னும் நம்ம பார்க்க முடியுது, எல்லா இடத்துலையும் பார்க்க முடியுது. இன்னொன்று இந்த பிரிக்லியில் நாங்கள் ஒர்க் பண்ணப்போ கூட அது ரிஸ்க்யூ பண்ணும்போது அவ்வளோ ப்ராப்ளம் இருந்தது. ரிஸ்க்யூ பண்ணி அவங்க நேட்டிவ் பிளேஸ்க்கு அனுப்புகிற வரைக்குமே வந்துட்டு கவர்மெண்ட் சைடில் எவ்வளோ சப்போர்ட் இருந்தாலும் கூட, பட் ஆனால் அந்த கோஆர்டினேஷன் பண்ணுறது, அவங்களையே கன்வின்ஸ் பண்ணுறதுல வந்து மிகுந்த சிரமங்கள் இருந்துச்சு. அந்த ப்ராசஸ் அதை பண்ணுறது, அதை ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ணுறதுலேருந்து கொண்டு வர வரைக்குமே வந்து லோக்கலில் இருக்கிற இன்ஃப்ளூயன்ஸ் வரைக்குமே எல்லாமே வந்து ப்ராப்ளம் இருக்குது. ஸோ சர்க்குலர் மைக்ரேஷனில் வந்துட்டு அவங்க வந்து அதிகமாக பாதிக்கப்படுறது வந்துட்டு தெரிந்த நபர்களால் தானே தவிர பழகின நபர்களால் இல்லை. அதாவது அண்டர்லைன் பண்ண அந்த 2 வேர்டையுமே, தெரிந்த நபர்கள்னால் எந்த ஒரு மைக்ரண்ட்டுமே வந்து ரொம்ப பழகின நபர்களால் இங்கே வேலைக்கு வர்றது கிடையாது. ஏதோ ஒரு தெரிஞ்ச நபர்கள் மூலமாக தான் வேலைக்கு ஒரு இடத்துக்கு போகிறாங்க. அந்த தெரிஞ்ச நபர் அந்த ஊருக்காரராக இருக்கலாம், இல்லை அந்த ஊரில் இருக்கிற தெரிஞ்ச ஒருத்தர் ஏதோ ஒரு நாள் இங்கே இந்த ஊரில் வேலை செஞ்சுருக்கலாம். அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு தெரிஞ்ச கான்டாக்ட் மூலமாக தான் அவங்க என்ன பண்ணுறாங்க, ஒவ்வொரு இடமா மாறி மாறி போகிறாங்க. அவங்க யாருமே அதிகமாக டீப்பாக பழகின ஒரு ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஷிப் உள்ள ஒரு ஃப்ரெண்ட் சர்க்கிள் உள்ள ஒரு ஆட்கள் இருக்கிறது இல்லை. ஸோ அதனாலவே அவங்க ரொம்பவும் என்ன சப்ரஸ் ஆகுறாங்க, எக்ஸ்ப்ளாய்ட் பண்ணப்படுறாங்க, ரொம்பவும் பாதிக்கப்படுறாங்க. ஓகே, தேங்க்யூ.
Thank you. Now I invite Mr. Solomon to make his.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry about my funny voice. I'm coming straight from a rescue operation that was happening from Saturday and Sunday. Last night I returned home around 1 a.m. I got the severe cold and fever. I was almost about to say sorry to Lakshmi ma'am, I'm not able to come, but then I didn't want to because I see this as an opportunity where I can share what's happening around us among the young generation and the participants of this conference. I would like to start by saying that the topic that is given to me is bonded labor, human trafficking, and exploitation of migrant laborers. So is it really happening in our day-to-day life today? So if you see, it is very much a problem that is haunting our generation today. The extreme form of exploitation leads the migrant people into bonded labor and victims of human trafficking. So over the past 16 years of my experience of associating in this topic of working, I've witnessed there are plenty of things that is involved when we try to address the issue of exploitation among migrant workers. So for us to understand what that really means, we really have to understand what is bonded labor and human trafficking. Before we could get into that, I just thought of playing a small video that is less than a minute. Shall we just quickly watch that video and then I'll continue? Yeah, I took permission.
திருவள்ளூர் மாவட்டம் கும்மிடிப்பூண்டி அருகே செங்கல் சூளையில் கொத்தடிமைகளாக இருந்த வடமாநிலத்தவர்கள் 78 பேர் மீட்கப்பட்டுள்ளனர். இத்தொடர்பான விவரங்களோடு இணைகிறார் நம்முடைய செய்தியாளர் மகேஷ். அந்த செங்கல் சூளையின் உரிமையாளர் யார், என்ன நடந்தது, முழு விவரங்கள்?
திருவள்ளூர் மாவட்டம் கும்மிடிப்பூண்டி அடுத்த அயனலூர் பகுதியில் MKS சேம்பர் இயங்கி வருது. கும்மிடிப்பூண்டி தபால் தெருவைச் சேர்ந்த குப்பன் என்பவருக்கு சொந்தமான இந்த செங்கல் சூளையில் வேலை செய்ய கடந்த 4 மாதங்களுக்கு முன் ஒரிசா மாநிலத்தைச் சேர்ந்த 78 பேர் கொத்தடிமைகளாக அழைத்து வரப்பட்டதாக கூறப்படுகிறது. இது தொடர்பாக பொன்னேரி வருவாய் கோட்டாட்சியர் ரவிச்சந்திரனுக்கு கிடைத்த தகவலின் பேரில் கும்மிடிப்பூண்டி வட்டாட்சியர் சுரேஷ்குமார் ஆகியோர் முன்னிலையில் கும்மிடிப்பூண்டி போலீசார் கொத்தடிமைகளாக வைக்கப்பட்டிருந்த ஒடிசா மாநிலத்தைச் சேர்ந்த 78 பேரையும் மீட்டு ரட்டம்பேடு ஊராட்சி ஒன்றிய பள்ளி அறையில் பத்திரமாக வைக்கப்பட்டுள்ளனர். அவர்களுக்கு தேவையான அடிப்படை வசதிகள், அதாவது குறிப்பா உணவு, கழிவறை, குடிநீர் உள்ளிட்ட அடிப்படை வசதிகள் அனைத்தும் செய்யப்பட்டுள்ளது. குறிப்பாக திருவள்ளூர் மாவட்டத்துக்குட்பட்ட கும்மிடிப்பூண்டி, கவரப்பேட்டை, ஊத்துக்கோட்டை உள்ளிட்ட பல்வேறு பகுதிகளில் இதுபோன்ற செங்கல் சூளைகளில் கொத்தடிமைகள் வைக்கப்பட்டிருப்பதும் மீட்பதும் வாடிக்கையாக மாறியுள்ளது குறிப்பிடத்தக்கது.
விவரங்களுக்கு நன்றி மகேஷ்.
So we'll turn on the lights. The reason why I wanted to play this video is that we're not talking about an issue that was happening several years ago. I'm talking about this rescue operation, this news that came yesterday. And today, if you have read Hindu newspaper, there's another article that says 24 migrant laborers who were identified as bonded laborers and got rescued in Erode district. So what really pushes them into such vicious cycle of bonded labor and human trafficking? As we all have been discussing from morning, this is nothing but the push and pull factor. Their illiteracy, their poverty and economic situation back home, and unemployment and drought, and we can keep on adding those factors that contributes or pushes them into the cycle. And what really happens, this evil contractors who prey around such vulnerable people, they recruit them in an illegal way and transport them and transfer them, harbor them, and finally hands them over to somebody who would continue to exploit them. So as many of us know, trafficking simply means illegal trade, right? When it comes to human trafficking, you just have to replace any product with human being. Human being, when they are trafficked, when they are recruited, transported, transferred, harbored and received by the means of fear, threat, abduction, kidnapping, giving and receiving money for the purpose of exploitation, that is human trafficking, as many of us know, right? So human trafficking is nothing but when somebody is recruited, transported, transferred, received through the means of fear, threat, abduction, kidnapping for the purpose of exploitation, that is human trafficking. So I'm sharing that I'm going one step beyond just the labor issue. So there's a perspective that it is just a labor issue between the owner and the contractor and the person who agreed to come and work. So what I'm saying is it is not just a labor issue. It is one step above. It is human rights violation issue. It is about an exploitation that occurs, you know. So that's why we at IJM, we always say end of poverty requires end of violence. End of violence requires effective public justice system. For example, if I tell you, for the next 1 hour, there's going to be a time where none of the laws and regulations are going to function, or you're not going to be protected by any of the law. How will that 1 hour be? So can we even call that 1 hour as world? No. So that will be the time where most of the exploitation on earth will occur, right? So just imagine there are millions of people trapped in that 1 hour through this type of exploitation that pushes them or keeps them in bonded labor, and they become victims of labor trafficking. So what really happens in our world today is because of this, women, children, and men, they think they are seeking some job. They're traveling from one place to the other, finding a job that will feed their family, but slowly they started to realize that they are being cheated. And in this particular rescue that I spoke about, which happened last night, the people are still traveling. The people are still traveling back to the native place. Last night, we helped them board Tata Nagar Express and Dhanbad Express. They're still traveling. Tonight only they will reach the destination. So 78 of them, including 22 children, women and children. Yeah, thank you. So what happens to the dream? Just imagine if somebody offers you a job when you are in a desperate situation and tells you, you come to this place, this city, you will find some job, but you come trusting that person. He comes and hands you over to somebody, and he starts giving you some job, and eventually you started realizing you lose your rights, you lose your freedom, and you are responsible to give. And we came over here. Friends, this is about making use of their innocence and exploiting them and posing violence on them and trying to escape from all systems, public justice systems that are set to protect them. So what I'm trying to highlight here is that in order to stop this crime, in order to address this crime, we'll have to see this as an issue of violence. It is not just an issue of some labor concern between the employer and the employee, the worker and the person who gives the job. It is beyond that. It is a human rights violation issue. Okay. In order to address that issue, we need to have an effective public justice system. Today, I can boldly say from my experience of working in this field, Tamil Nadu is leading this fight. And in Tamil Nadu, we have announced like 5 years ago, a day specifically to observe bonded labor system abolition. So February 9th, every February 9th is said to be bonded labor system abolition day in Tamil Nadu. Bonded labor is nothing but a form, an important form of labor trafficking, human trafficking, right? So where a person who receives an amount of money, he forfeits his rights and freedom because of the debt and other obligation that is posed on him, and he's forced to work, forfeiting all his rights and freedom, not just by himself, his entire family. Over the period of time, from our experience, we've rescued most of the rescued people. Over 98% of them are from particularly vulnerable tribal group in Tamil Nadu. And on top of that, off late we started seeing people who are migrant laborers are victims to this vicious crime in our society today. So as I conclude, I would like to highlight this fact. Fact is that India is a country that is expanding or developing in so many ways, but at the same time within India we have some best practices. For example, in Tamil Nadu we have a very good model of addressing this crime, working closely with the police department, working closely with the labor department and government department, like madam who's part of CWC. They're all doing a phenomenal work. We have this best practice. We just have to replicate this in other states until we find the last person who is trapped in this scenario and rescue them. And number two, we have to follow the existing mechanisms that are supposed to protect these vulnerable people by following or strictly enforcing those accountability mechanisms. We can continue to protect them. I'll be happy to answer questions later.
Thank you, Solomon. Now I invite Miss Asha to.
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். இப்போது என் கமிட்டிக்கு வர கேசஸ் பற்றி தான் நான் இப்போ சொல்ல போகிறேன். மோஸ்ட்லி பார்த்தீங்கன்னா 12 to 14 ஒரு 10% வந்து 17க்குள்ளே வரும். வர கேசஸ்லாம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஒன்று சொன்ன நிறைய டெக்னிக்ஸ் எல்லாமே பேசிட்டாங்க. இந்த டெக்னிக்ஸ் ப்ளஸ் இந்த கேஸ் ஒர்க்குள்ளே தான் நம்ம பேச போகிறோம். இதில் சைல்ட் லேபர் அது லேபருக்காக வராங்க. பசங்களை கேட்டால் வேலை தேடி வந்தேன், படிக்கலையான்னு கேட்டால் என்ன சொல்லுவாங்க, இல்லை ஸ்கூல் போகலை, ஒன்றுமே படிக்கலை, வேலை தேடி வந்தேன், மெட்ராஸை சுற்றி பார்க்க வந்தேன், பீச்சு பார்க்க வந்தேன்னு சொல்லுவான். அப்படி சொல்கிறானாவே அவன் போய் சொல்கிறான். யாரோ ஒருத்தவங்க கூட்டிகிட்டு வந்திருக்கிறாங்க. வரவங்க இது சொல்லியிருப்பாங்க. ஒரு 10 செட் ஆஃப் பீப்புள்ஸ் வராங்கன்னு வச்சுங்களேன், சேமாக சொல்லுவாங்க, பீச் பார்க்க வந்தேன் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. வரவங்க பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஆதார் கார்டு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா நம்மளுக்கெல்லாம் எத்தனை ஆதார் கார்டு இருக்கும்? 1 தான் வச்சுருப்போம். ஆனால் அவங்க 2 3 வச்சுருப்பாங்க. ஏன்னா ஏஜில் மாட்டிக்க கூடாது அப்படிங்கிறதுக்காக. நம்ம கொஞ்சம் பேசுனா, ஓ அது கேட்குறீங்களா, ஒரிஜினல் கேட்குறீங்களா, இந்தாங்க பாருங்கள் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி காட்டுவோம். அவன் கொடுக்குற ஆதார் கார்டு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஏஜ் வந்து 17 18 அப்படி இருக்கும். பார்க்கும்போதே நம்மளுக்கு தெரியும், மீசை வளர்ந்துருக்காது, சின்னதாக தான் இருக்கும் மீசை. ஆனால் வந்து 18 இயர்ஸ்ன்னு சொல்லுவான். அப்புறம் பார்த்தா ஒரிஜினல் கார்டு நம்ம கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சம் பேச காட்டுவான். பார்த்தோன்னா 12 வயசு 13 வயசு தான் இருக்கும். இதுக்காக வராங்க. அப்புறம் வந்து மிஸ்ஸிங் கேஸில் வருவாங்க. அப்புறம் பார்த்திங்கன்னா நிறைய போக்சோவில் வருவாங்க, சைல்ட் மேரேஜில் வருவாங்க. 12 வயசு 13 வயசில் கல்யாணம் ஆகிட்டு வேலை தேடி வர இடத்துலையே லவ் அஃபேர் ஆகும். ட்ரெயினில் வரும்போது லவ் அஃபேர், இறங்கின உடனே ஏதாவது ஒரு கோயிலில் கல்யாணம் பண்ணுவாங்க, இல்லை அங்கேயே கல்யாணம் பண்ணிட்டு வந்துடுவாங்க. நம்ம இங்கே வந்தோதையும் நம்ம ஃபோர்ஸில் மாட்டிக்குவாங்க, சைல்ட் லைனில் மாட்டிக்குவாங்க, வருவாங்க. மறுபடியும் அவங்க பேரண்ட்ஸ் வர சொன்னால் அங்கே வந்து ரொம்ப சாதாரண சைல்டு மேரேஜுங்கிறதுலாம், கல்யாணம் பண்ணிட்டாங்களே அப்படியே போகட்டும் விட்டுருங்க அப்படின்னு நம்ம எப்படி விட முடியும்? அது மட்டும் இல்லாமல் இதில் இன்னொன்று வந்து இந்த மைக்ரேஷனில் தொடாத ஒரு சப்ஜெக்ட்னால் பெக்கிங்ஸு. இப்போ ஃபேமிலியோடு வராங்கல்ல, இப்போ பெக்கிங் வந்து நம்ம தனி சப்ஜெக்டை தான் பார்க்குறோம், மைக்ரேஷனில் வரதில்லை, டிராஃபிக்கிங் அதுக்குள்ளே கொண்டாந்துடும். ஆனால் பெக்கிங் இப்போ ஃபேமிலியோடு வரவங்க வந்து பெக் பண்ணி அது மூலியமாகவும் வராங்க. அதில் சில பேர் பார்த்தீங்க, ஒரு நாளைக்கு வந்து ஒரு குழந்த ஒரு 9 இயர்ஸ் தான் இருக்கும், 3000 ரூபாய் சம்பாதிக்கிறான். இது வந்து அவங்களுக்கு போதுமே. வந்து சம்பாதிச்சுட்டு அவங்க ஒரு ஏரியா இருக்கும், அங்கே போய் தங்கிக்குவாங்க. ஒரு கேம்ப் மாதிரி இருக்கும். ஒரு 6 மாதம் வரைக்கும் பெக் பண்ணுவாங்க. ஒரு நாளைக்கு 3000 ரூபாய் குறைஞ்சதுன்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு மாதத்துக்கு எப்படியும் மோர் தென் 30,000க்கு மேலே சம்பாதிச்சிடும். ஒரு குழந்தைய வச்சு சம்பாதிச்சு எடுத்துக்கிட்டு திருப்பி அவங்க ஊருக்கு போவாங்க, கொஞ்ச நாள் இருப்பாங்க, திருப்பி வந்துடுறாங்க. இதுவும் வந்து பெக்கிங்காக வராங்க. அதில் சில குழந்தைங்க என்ன சொல்லுவாங்கன்னா, இல்லை எனக்கு இது பிடிக்கல, நான் வந்து படிக்கணும்னு சொல்கிறேன், எங்கள் அம்மா படிக்க வைக்க மாட்டாங்க அப்படின்னு. அது மாதிரி இருக்க குழந்தைங்கள அவங்க பேரண்ட்ஸ்கிட்ட ஃபைட் பண்ணி குழந்தைங்கள வந்து இப்போது படிக்க வச்சிட்ருக்குறோம். அது வந்து ரொம்ப, ஏன்னா இது மோஸ்ட்லி பார்த்தீங்கன்னா பீகார், ஒரிசா, ஜார்க்கண்ட் இது மாதிரி ஏரியாவிலேருந்து வராங்க. இப்போ தமிழ்நாட்டில் வந்து மோஸ்ட்லி வச்சுக்க முடியாது. அவங்கள வந்து நம்ம அந்த சிடபிள்யூசிக்கு வந்து நம்ம எல்லாம் அந்த டிசிபிக்கு வந்து நம்ம ட்ரான்ஸ்ஃபர் போட்டு ஆகணும். ஆனாலும் வந்து இந்த பேரண்ட் என்ன பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா, இல்லை நான் கூட்டிகிட்டு போய் படிக்க வைப்பேன் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு சில பேர் வந்து என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க, ட்ரெயின் டிக்கெட்லாம் எடுத்துகிட்டு வந்து காட்டுவாங்க. இன்றைக்கி நைட்டே போகிறோம், நாளைக்கே போய் நாங்கள் வந்து பீகார் போகிறதுக்கு ஒரு வாரம் எடுத்துக்குவாங்க. நெக்ஸ்ட் வீக்கு வந்து நான் ஸ்கூலில் சேர்த்துட்டு உங்களுக்கு ஃபோட்டோ எடுத்து காமிக்கிறேன் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு கூட்டிகிட்டு போயிட்டு எவ்வளோ ஆகும், ஒரு 500 ரூபா 1000 ரூபாய்க்குள்ளே டிக்கெட் எடுத்துக்கோ. ஒரு 5 பேர் இருக்காங்க ஒரு ஃபேமிலினா 1000 ரூபாய்க்குள்ளே டிக்கெட் எடுத்திருப்பாங்க. கொண்டாந்து காட்டுவாங்க. நாங்களும் என்ன பண்ணுவோம், ஃபைல் பண்ணுவோம், அவங்கள நம்பி விடுவோம். போனால் அந்த டிக்கெட்டை கிழிச்சு போட்டுட்டு குழந்தைய கூட்டிகிட்டு போவாங்க. இந்த ஏரியா இல்லாமல் அடுத்த ஏரியாவில் போய் பெக் பண்ணுவாங்க. திருப்பி அது மாதிரி பெக் பண்ணி மாட்டி வந்த கேஸ் எல்லாமே இருக்கிறாங்க. திருப்பி அந்த குழந்தைய வந்து நம்ம நம்ம ஹோமில் வச்சு அவங்கள வந்து படிக்க வச்சிட்ருக்குறோம். நம்ம எஜுகேஷன் அது மாதிரி ஒரு 2 பசங்க வந்து பார்த்திங்கன்னா எங்களுக்கு இங்கே இல்லாமல் எங்கள் சொந்த ஊருக்கு, அதாவது பீகாருக்கு கூட்டி போயும் எங்களை வந்து பெக் பண்ண தான் வைக்கிறாங்க. அதனால் நான் வந்து எங்கள் அம்மா கூடயே போக மாட்டேன், எங்கள் அக்கா கூட போக மாட்டேன், நான் இங்கேயே இருந்து தான் நான் படிப்பேன் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி அவங்களுக்கு எந்த ஒரு ப்ரூஃப்மே இருக்காது. ஒரு பர்த் சர்டிஃபிகேட் எடுத்துருக்க மாட்டாங்க, ஏன்னா அப்படியே மைக்ரண்ட் ஆகி வந்துக்கிட்டே இருக்கிறாங்கல்ல. ஒரு ப்ராப்பராக வந்து எந்த ஒரு சர்டிஃபிகேட்டும் இருக்காது. பர்த் சர்டிஃபிகேட் இருந்தால் தான் நம்ம ஆதார் எடுக்க முடியும். பர்த் சர்டிஃபிகேட் இருக்காது. ஒரு எல்லாமே மோஸ்ட்லி பார்த்திங்கன்னா மால் நரிஸ்டாக தான் இருப்பாங்க. குழந்தைங்களும் சரி, அவங்க பேரண்ட்டும் சரி, ரொம்ப ஒல்லியாக, ரொம்ப அனிமிக்காக இப்படி தான் இருப்பாங்க. ஸோ அந்த குழந்தைங்களுக்கு பர்த் சர்டிஃபிகேட்லாம் இப்போ ஏஜ் ப்ரூஃப் வேணும்ல, அதுக்கு சில டெக்னிக்ஸ்லாம் நாங்கள் வச்சுருக்கோம். டென்டல் டெஸ்ட்டுன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க, அதை எடுத்து ஒரு ப்ரூஃப் ரெடி பண்ணி இப்போது 2 பசங்களும் அது மாதிரி ஸ்கூல் போயிட்டுருக்குறாங்க, பீகார் பசங்க. அது மாதிரி போக்சோவில் வருவாங்க. போக்சோவில் ஒரு குழந்த மேல் சைல்டு 14 வயசு, இல்லை சாரி 12 இயர்ஸ் தான், 12 வயசு. அப்படியே அவனால் நடக்க முடியல, உட்கார முடியல, நிற்க முடியல. அப்படியே பின்னாடி இடுப்பை பிடிச்சிக்கிட்டே ஓடி வரோம். வந்துட்டு ஹாஸ்பிட்டலில் சைல்ட்லைன் மூலயமா நாங்கள் ஹாஸ்பிட்டலில் சேர்த்துட்டோம். பார்த்தா ஒரு 4 பேரால் குழந்த வந்து அப்யூஸ் ஆகியிருக்கான். அப்புறம் அவனுக்கு வந்து கிட்டத்தட்ட 1 வாரம் ஃபுல்லாக அந்த பெயின் போகிறதுக்கு அவங்க அவ்வளோ கஷ்டப்பட்டு டாக்டர்ஸ் வந்து அவனை சரி பண்ணி நம்ம ஜிஆர்பியில் வந்து எஃப்ஐஆர் ஃபைல் பண்ணி போட்டு, ஆனால் இது வரைக்கும் வந்து கண்டுபிடிக்க முடியல. ஜார்க்கண்ட் குழந்த ரொம்ப கஷ்டப்பட்டுட்டான். இப்போ அவனுக்கு மோஷன் போகிறது கஷ்டமாக இருக்குது, யூரின் போகிறது கஷ்டமாக இருக்குது, பெயினாக இருக்குது. ஆனால் வந்து கொஞ்சம் நாள் எடுக்க அந்த குழந்தைக்கு சரியாயிரும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லியிருக்காங்க. ஸோ இதெல்லாம் மைக்ரேஷனில் வர பிரச்சனைகள். அது மட்டும் இல்லாமல் இப்போது இந்த கார்மெண்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் போகிறாங்கல்ல சார், வேலைக்கு போகிறாங்க, அவங்களுக்கெல்லாம் பார்த்திங்கன்னா அவங்களே அறியாமல் அந்த பஞ்செல்லாம் இருக்குது பாருங்களேன், சின்ன சின்ன துகள்களாக இருக்கும், அது நம்மளே அறியாமல் சுவாச்சிரும். அதனால வந்து கேன்சர் வந்துடுது. சின்ன சின்ன குழந்தைங்க தானே, சின்ன குழந்தைங்களே கேன்சர் வந்த குழந்தைங்களாம் இருக்கிறாங்க. ஏன்னா நான் வந்து இது மாதிரி டெக்ஸ்டைலுக்கு போனேன், ஒர்க் பண்ண போனேன், கார்மெண்ட்ஸுக்கு போனேன், எனக்கு எப்படி வந்துச்சுன்னு தெரியல, அப்படியெல்லாம் வராங்க. மோஸ்ட்லி பார்த்திங்கன்னா இப்போது எங்கள்கிட்ட வர குழந்தைங்கள நாங்கள் இதில் ஷெல்டரில் வச்சு பேரண்ட்டை வர சொல்லுவோம், எங்கே இருந்தாலும் பரவாயில்ல வாங்கன்ட்டு. ஆனால் இந்த கூட்டிகிட்டு வராங்க பாருங்கள், புரோக்கர்ஸ் இருக்காங்களே, அவங்களே வந்து நான் வந்து அவங்களோட அண்ணன் மாமா அங்கேருந்து ஒரு முக்கிய லெட்டர்னு சொல்லுவாங்க, அங்கே இந்த பிரசிடெண்ட் இருக்காங்க, பஞ்சாயத்து பிரசிடெண்ட், அவங்க ஒரு லெட்டர் மாதிரி கொடுத்து விடுவாங்க. ஆனால் அந்த லெட்டர்லாம் பார்த்திங்கன்னா ஒரே மாடலில் இருக்கும், ஒரே லெட்டர் ஹெட் மாதிரி இருக்கும், ஒரே மாடல், பேரை மாற்றி இது எப்படி வந்து அடிக்கிறாங்கன்னு தெரியல. ஏதாவது ஒரு யூனியன் மாதிரி வச்சுருக்காங்களா, இல்லை அவங்க ரெடி பண்ணி கொடுக்குறாங்களா என்னன்னு தெரியல, ஒரே மாதிரி இருக்கும். அந்த முக்கிய லெட்டர் எடுத்துகிட்டு வந்தாங்கனாவே நாங்கள் அவங்க கூட அனுப்ப மாட்டோம். பரவாயில்ல பேரண்ட் எடுத்துகிட்டு வாங்க, ஆதார் கார்டு எடுத்துகிட்டு வராதிங்க, ப்ரூஃபுக்கு வேறு எடுத்துகிட்டு வாங்க, வேறு ஏதாவது அந்த ஃபேமிலி கார்டு, ரேஷன் கார்டு, ஓட்டர் ஐடி, ஏதாவது ஃபேமிலி மெம்பர்ஸ் லிஸ்டெல்லாம் இருக்கும்ல, அது மாதிரி இருக்கிறதெல்லாம் எடுத்துகிட்டு வாங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்லி அதை எடுத்துகிட்டு வந்து செக் பண்ணி குழந்தைங்கள வந்து அவங்க கூட அனுப்பி அங்கே இருக்க டிசிபிஓக்கு சொல்லி, சைல்ட்லைனுக்கு சொல்லி அவங்கள ஃபாலோ பண்ண வச்சு அவங்க ஸ்கூலுக்கு சேர்க்குறாங்களா. இதில் வந்து என்னென்னா அங்கே வந்து எஜுகேஷனும் வந்து நம்ம மாதிரி ஈஸியாக கிடைக்கிறது இல்லை போல இருக்குது. எஜுகேஷன் கொஞ்சம் காஸ்ட்லியாக இருக்குது, எங்களால் படிக்க வைக்க முடியல அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறாங்க. இன்னும் வந்து ஒரு வித்தியாசமான ஒரு இது கேட்டேன் நான், ஏன் வந்து பொம்பளை பிள்ளைய வந்து வேலைக்கு அனுப்புகிறீங்க இவ்வளோ தூரம் வந்து அப்படின்னா, இல்லை நகை எங்களால் வாங்க முடியாது, கோல்டு ரேட்டு அதிகமாக இருக்குது, அதனால வேலைக்கு போனால் தானே என் பிள்ளைய நான் கண்டுபிடிக்க முடியும், இப்போலேருந்து நான் வேலைக்கு தான் அனுப்பினா தானே என் குழந்தைக்கு எதாவது நான் சேர்க்க முடியும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு, அங்கே வேலை சரியாக இல்லை, சம்பளம் கம்மியாக இருக்குது, அதனால நான் மைக்ரண்ட்டாக இங்கே வந்திருக்கேன் அப்படியும் சொல்கிற கேசஸ்லாம் இருக்குது. ஸோ இது மாதிரிலாம் நாங்கள் ஃபேஸ் பண்ணிகிட்ருக்குறோம். இதில் வந்து சரியான சட்டம் நம்மள்கிட்ட இல்லை. டிராஃபிக்கிங் வர மிஸ்ஸிங் கேஸு இது மாதிரிலாம் டிராஃபிக்கிங்கில் போட்டு எஃப்ஐஆர் போட்டு ஆனால் டிராஃபிக்கிங்கே சரியான ஆக்ட் இல்லைன்னு நினைக்கிறேன்ல சார், அது ஃபெயிலியர் ஆகிட்டே இருக்குன்னு நினைக்கிறேன் ராஜ்யசபாவில். அதெல்லாம் வந்து ஒரு இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்ணாதான் ஓரளவுக்கு இதெல்லாம் சரி பண்ண முடியும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஓகே, தேங்க்யூ.
Thank you. Like, so one another like based on the larger presentation, like even the larger theme also suggests that the nature of this pattern of migration, you can't say strictly like migration, it's not voluntary, and it's sort of movement of people, be more largely forced, like some distress, some other like forces also, like for instance the first presentation makes the development or like projects or the environment, those kind of projects are basically displacing people. State is also in a way indirectly also like being part of that, like as a emerging as a tool in that process. And there are few specific challenges that we have it in addressing these things. For instance, this thing is like one is the self-identification. Like it's very difficult people to come forward and reporting it. Like and again, even maybe their own past experience or the kind of system is not intact, or there's no penalization, there's no assured sort of compensation or like a way. So it might be the legality or the procedure would be maybe making more complicated. Like the other person say that like withdrawing that thing, there's no complaint against the employer. That way, that is one of the things. It's very difficult to identify, even give this kind of a trust on the system, people to come forward and like make this self-identification or reporting the issue or like something like that. And again, the system, also the trust, fear on the system, and their own past experience or those things also contribute to it. Another thing, like we also have system, institutional network or a framework is also not that sort of solid enough, like to we have a lot of issues including the legal or resource constraint, all those things that like even suppose like we rescue like 1,000 kids or like somebody who's more vulnerable, we do not have the kind of intact system to even accommodate them. Also maybe some voluntary organizations are doing, that's great, like that been complementing. In their absence it could be even more like challenging. And the other thing is again, like we also have certain system, for instance legality or technology, for instance sometimes that we can like sometimes technology also as a surveillance, that sometimes it is a source of like solution, sometimes it's a source of like a problem. So basically like access to technology is not just one-sided, so both sides, the prey and the like the culprit, both sides you like some of those things are like we have this inadvertent kind of sort of exposure to the technology space and all those also those things also coming in. Now I have one specific thing I'm sort of interested in, like a more kind of a border, like a larger cross-border like a flow. So I would like Dr. Esther to reflect on like this. It's not just about the force by other people, even the aspiration also sometimes, just because we don't have a proper like a sort of mechanism, institutional thing, the middleman or the kind of like it's not just only uneducated people from the margin or the only remote rural people. We also have a lot of issues that highly educated elite or sort of like with all good exposure, they also get into the trap. They're also especially in the corridors of international migration, student migration. So I would like Dr. Ethers to reflect on that. Thank you.
Thank you. I was actually confining myself more to the national scenario as well as the state scenario. Since morning I saw that like the overseas migration, Mr. Iridayaraj also spoke in the morning, like how people migrate, it's like voluntarily because they want to, they have their own aspiration and for like no better opportunity or something like that, they opt for overseas migration. But I mean, there are people from the vulnerable community, marginalized section. They also migrate overseas for varied reason, like for better job opportunities. But in the bargain, like while crossing the border, it's either the contractor who takes them, or the border officials also, they subject them to varied kind of exploitation, be it sexual exploitation, or sometimes they are actually trafficked also in that transit situation. And sometimes undocumented people who travel and who are actually don't have proper documents, and when they are subjected to any kind of crime, like whether it's any kind of violation, physical or sexual violence, they have a fear of reporting such facts, because for them the fear is like either they will be like sent back to their own country, or if they are caught without proper documentation, what will happen to them. So those kind of fear, actually they don't actually report such cases. So in that situation, what happens is like the perpetrators actually they are even more get strengthened to these kind of violations. So these are some of the challenges. And of course, like women who actually travel to Middle East countries for, women from the marginalized section for better income, like most of them are engaged in domestic work and things like that. They are actually subjected to varied kind of exploitation, like within the family where they are staying, they are subjected to sexual exploitation. And often what happens is like their documents are actually kept with a person who has taken them. They don't even have the documents, and if they want to report to the embassy, Indian embassy in such countries, they are not able to report. People have run away from their houses and then surrendered in the embassy and reporting such things. Then with the, we also have, the overseas welfare board also for overseas people in Tamil Nadu government. They do have welfare board, and you all know recently they've also had a conference here in the state of Tamil Nadu. So our government also, like when these kind of situation occurs, they also come forward to actually release them or give them kind of relief to them. But what is more important is like when these kind of laborers, unskilled workers, when they opt to actually travel overseas for job opportunities, they should be actually given pre-departure awareness program. People should know what is their rights. In fact, like we just commemorated yesterday Women's Day, International Women's Day. The theme for this year is Rights, Justice and Action for Women and Girls. Actually, people should know what are their rights. And often, like, people who would like to travel, but they don't know, like, what are the process follow, what are their rights. So pre-departure awareness should be given to those kind of people who are aspiring to travel. And as I have also mentioned that in many cases, the instances of undocumented thing, they themselves are afraid to report such violation, and therefore the violation also continues. These are the scenario that that's what
yeah, we'll come back once. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Esther. To Kalia Perumal sir,
Okay, one more thing if I have to just say, like ActionAid has actually conducted a national level study on different refugees in India. The Chin refugees, the Rohingyas, the Sri Lankan refugees, the refugees from Pakistan and refugees from Afghan. And one worst scenario that prevails in our own state is that like the Tamilians who have been migrated to Sri Lanka to work in the tea estate and all, during the crisis time they returned back to India. The unfortunate thing is that after they return to their own country, they are kept in the camps till date and they are treated as refugees. So in their own country, they are being refugees. And the one thing is a strong agenda for all the refugees that somehow they have to get their citizenship rights. We do see a lot of progress in our state. Like for example, last week Stalin has opened he has given housing for the Sri Lankan refugees. That's a great move. And also lot of various entitlements and things like that. Our government is coming forward to support them. And one more strong thing is like he is also strongly advocating with the union government for citizenship rights for these kind of refugees. So these are some of the things that is happening. We have also done an international study where the same thing with regard to Sri Lankan refugees here in India, we have highlighted these kind of recommendations. Thank you.
Yeah. One thing, like, you've been discussing about the informality or informalization within the formal sector as well. If we think like how much of it is like a structural issue, like even if the person is not even a migrant, still like being part of the informal sector, that's making the people more vulnerable, or the kind of, they're also sort of exposed to those kind of exploitation what you have been dealing with, or the complaint what you have been getting. The other thing is, are there any sort of like potential kind of filter that stop somebody or like eliminate somebody who have a crisis but not able to reach out to you, or something like you verify those complaints when you get it, or just any sort of a call you sort of reach it, like when we have more screening, that reduce the thing access.
Yeah. See, in the formal sector, there are a lot of informalities are, nowadays the informalities are increasing in the formal sectors. That is because of the lot of new schemes, not the new schemes, old schemes. For example, fixed term employment, national, what is that, NEEM scheme, and many other schemes. Because of the schemes and all, it is a temporarily and short duration schemes, and the companies are interested and engaging through the schemes. So that also makes made lot of differences because of this increasing informalities, and many complaints were received, and we are not able to resolve the complaints. That is because of the capacity we don't have, and we don't have much strong mediation capacity to have with the employer, because employer is very strong, they are very powerful, and they have very strong legal support, and also those areas and all we are not able to address. But we are addressing the complaint, but we are not able to resolve those kind of cases. These are reasons it is still the complaints not closed, not resolved. It is still in process. So if you say, I said already, in India Labour Lane we have come across 49,000 complaints across India, but we resolve only 40%. So that means 60% of complaints it is unresolved, and it is in process. And we can say many complaints we have closed because we are not able to address a complaint because of lot of documental, as Esther ma'am said, undocumentation. See, lot of cases there is documentation issues. The workers are not documented, the records not in the companies, the company record, the company not maintaining the records, even the contract not ready to maintain the records. So there is no proper document, and so because of the lack of document, we are not able to address those kind of cases. So that also we are able to see. And also another side, the workers have lot of suppression and pressure through the contractor, through their in charge, through their fellow, through their families. So this kind of situation also, triggering point not to escalate those kind of cases. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I have one like simple thing, like are you able to identify any new forms of like bonded labor? And this, like you have said, borrowing some money or something. And there are like whatever, like we have a notion that we don't have a bonded labor practices in our country or something like that. So how is that, like how are you reaching out to these how are you identifying these cases, or that might be helping you to identify new forms of, like even within the formal sector also, somebody is not arrested or not relocated or transferred to another place, but still they have some kind of a commitment, like for instance, like someone borrowed a huge money, so until even they might be staying in the same places, they're not moving, but they still have this kind of a commitment kind of thing. So are there any sort of a parallel thing in your like whatever cases you have been attending? Thank you.
So when we talk about bonded labor, our mind goes to this picture that people will be trapped and people will be chained, put in a room and beaten, and work is extracted. Of course, we are seeing such scenarios in some cases, but we call this as modern form of labor trafficking. So, an emerging trends in labor trafficking. For example, in Chennai, we've rescued so many adolescent boys and boys below 18 who were working in jewelry making unit. So can you even imagine? So jewels that we wear, in one particular area in Chennai, there are plenty of these boys who migrate from West Bengal mainly and come over here, brought over here by the middlemen and handed over here for with the factory owners who make use of their tender fingers to in the name of giving them coaching, training them apprentice kind of training on job training. They bring them over here and they make them sit in one particular room and make them do work with gold jewelries. So several of these cases have been addressed lately and many children have been rescued. So all of them, they did not directly receive money, but their parents were given some amount of money and they were brought over here. And that's how they ended up being in bonded labor here, and officials were able to identify. So normally the information comes through different sources. Government directly gets information from associations like several organizations are there. They'll give information to the government, and government brings that information to the vigilance committee. Bonded labor has something called vigilance committee at district level and subdivision level, and vigilance committee takes that information, gathers the people who are part of that committee, and they go and do the inspection and find out. That's one angle. And then the people who have already been rescued, their relatives will be there, particularly in in Tamil Nadu context, in tribal context. Tribal people, as we know, are very closely living together. They live together very closely. So their relatives will be in a big factory suffering. So once I am rescued, I will immediately say, okay, there are mechanisms available for ensuring my freedom, my rehabilitation. Okay, why don't I, point out my relatives who are suffering in a different place. So like that, we get information, and that information is assessed properly, and with the help of the subdivision magistrate and the district magistrate and the police and labor department, the information is processed and identified, and rescued people are rehabilitated. Basically, when it comes to rehabilitation, it's community-based rehabilitation. The people will be sent back to their own community, and their government uses the central sector scheme for rehabilitation. So sometimes, like you correctly pointed out, people move from one district to another district, one state to another state. Sometimes the people will be made to work or forced to work within the same district but different villages. But sometimes we also have scenarios where people are made to work in the same village, but the criteria, the trap here, the exploitation here is that they cannot go and live in the same village where they want to go and live. They will have to live either within the same rice mill or rock quarry or the brick factory, or the place where the owner tells them to stay. From there, they cannot go to their relative's place. If there is a death or a function, if there is a festival, they cannot move from that place to go and be part of that program and come back. So that is why we are calling it as violence that is posed on them, that takes away freedom and their rights.
Thank you. My last query. When we have these like sort of survivors or somebody who got rescued from one sort of child or even other vulnerable section, how generally they carry sort of a kind of they sort of traumatized, and that trauma, or even the society also keeps some sort of a stigma around them. So that basically blocked the sort of a smooth integration, integration with the society, or even the existing institutional arrangement is also not that like that strong, or maybe like someone like when a kid when we are not able to identify where the kid actually belongs to, like when we are not able to identify any of the document. So somewhere we sort of a child care home or something, that is again a sort of master class thing, like all the other kind of like a trauma or a new form of like discrimination. So like ma'am, like if you can explain, like are there any sort of anticipatory thing or sort of potentially another kind of a space to address this kind of gap?
இப்போ எங்கள்கிட்ட வரவங்களே பார்த்தீங்கன்னா பேரண்ட்ஸ்ட்டு அனுப்பிடுறோம், திருப்பி அவங்க பேக் டு ஏதாவது ஒர்க் அது மாதிரி தான் போகிறாங்க. ஆனால் இதுக்கு பதிலாக என்னென்னா ஒரு ரிஹாபிலிட்டேஷன் சென்டர் ஒவ்வொரு ஸ்டேட்லேயும் வச்சு அவங்கள அங்கே ரெஸ்கியூ பண்ண குழந்தைங்கள அங்கே வச்சு அவங்களுக்கு ப்ராப்பர் கவுன்சிலிங் ரிஹாபிலிட்டேஷன் கொடுத்து ஸ்கில் ட்ரைனிங் கொடுத்து அவங்கள வந்து ஸ்பெஷல் எஜுகேஷன் மாதிரி கொடுத்து பேக் டு ஸ்கூலுக்கு அனுப்பி அந்த கம்பல்சரி எஜுகேஷன் அப்படிங்கிறத வந்து ஸ்ட்ரிக்ட்லி இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்ணி குழந்தைங்க வந்து ட்ராப் அவுட் ஆகாமல் வந்து ஃபாலோ பண்ணிக்கிட்டே இருக்கணும். ஏன்னா குழந்தைங்கள என்கேஜாக நம்ம வச்சுக்கோ பார்த்திங்கன்னா அவங்களோட ஸ்கில் வெளிப்பட்டுக்கிட்டே இருக்கும். மற்றபடி வந்து இந்த மைக்ரேஷன், இல்லீகல் ஆக்டிவிட்டி இது மாதிரி எதுக்கும் அவங்களால வெளியே போக முடியாது. ஸோ எனக்கு ஒரு ப்ராப்பரான ஒரு கவுன்சிலிங் சென்டர் இருந்து அங்கேருந்து வெளியே வந்தால் தான் அந்த குழந்தைங்க வந்து சொசைட்டியை வந்து ஒரு பாசிட்டிவ் வேல அவங்களால அப்ரோச் பண்ண முடியும்.
Okay, thank you. We have started half an hour late, so what is our next deadline? Okay, are we supposed to like finish? Yeah. 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 So like, are there any question like quick responses from the panelists? Okay.
Good afternoon to the moderator and the panelists. I am Suveda and I am a second year MSW student here. So that was a wonderful session. I observed the most of it, and the common theme that I observed is violence. Every one of the panelists talked about violence. So and how effective public justice system and gendered response, public service response is important and effective to tackle this violence. And I think that this is a macro level intervention. And I wanted to ask about micro level intervention, especially in terms of psychological aspect. Because when it comes to violence, I think it is mostly involved with the psychological games that people play, and it is often undermined or not overlooked. The psychological aspect of violence is, I think that it is mostly overlooked. And as Kalia Perumal sir pointed out, people usually put it as other problems. They won't emphasize it. They will only emphasize the things that wages and other technical aspect of the violence that happen. So how do we as social workers get into the psychological intervention of the violence? And how will it reflect on migration and the issues surrounding migration? That was my question to all the panelists and as well as the moderator.
I just would like to narrate a case which has happened actually during the COVID time, when everyone was like under lockdown and we were in our house. And this particular instance of bonded labor thing has happened in Tiruvallur district. Actually, we have raised a lot of awareness about like how people have to seek help, even though we were actually under lockdown and all the thing. So when this ActionAid was running a helpline, so there actually, as you have rightly pointed out, even the psychological aspect also we have taken care, like by providing counseling. And in this particular instance where people were actually beaten up in a Brooklyn, and they didn't know what to do, like they, in fact, like when the lockdown was relaxed, they wanted to go back to Odisha. So that's the only thing, the thing. They were actually beaten up and people there were bleeding and they were unconscious. Through our helpline, they have reached out. So immediately we have provided whatever support they have at that moment, like they required. Immediately we have escalated through the Chief Secretary of the state of Tamil Nadu. Then he reached out to the district collector of Tiruvallur district. The very next day morning, the district collector was on the spot. In the meantime, we have also connected with the Chief Secretary of Odisha, because around 155 people were there in that Brooklyn who were actually were bonded laborers. So immediately the collector went there on the spot, and we got connected to the Chief Secretary, and FIR was registered in the police station, and the state government also immediately took the measure to release those people and book them in a train and send them back to Odisha. So immediately we were able to actually provide the counseling that was actually required for them. So I think we need to raise a lot of awareness, and we need to actually provide these kind of helpline support. We should make people like know that there are so many helplines are there. Like as I was sitting here in labor line also, there is a helpline. Sir was actually sharing with me. We should make people, the migrant workers, the informal sector workers, know about the various helplines or various support that is already available. We have to make people aware of that. By making them aware of these kind of support system, or making them aware of their rights, we will be certainly able to empower people, and thereby they'll be able to empower, and they'll be able to claim, assert and claim their rights. So in that way we can actually address the rights issue, and we can, in that way we can actually also ensure justice to them.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir. ஸோ எனக்கு வந்து என்ன டவுட்னா, இந்த மாதிரி நீங்கள் பாண்டட் லேபரர்ஸ், மைக்ரண்ட்ஸ், அதுக்கப்புறமா நிறைய டிராஃபிக்கிங் அந்த ஆஸ்பெக்டில் பேசும்போது எனக்கு செக்ஸ் ஒர்க்கர்ஸ் பற்றி எனக்கு ஒரு டவுட் வந்துச்சு எனக்கு. ஸோ அவங்களுமே வந்து டிராஃபிக்கிங்குள்ளே வந்து மாட்டிகிட்டு இருக்காங்க. ஸோ அந்த ஆஸ்பெக்ட் டச் பண்ணலன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஸோ அதில் வந்து ஐடிபி ஆக்ட் கீழே அவங்கள கிரிமினலைஸ் பண்ணக்கூடாது, இது எல்லாமே இருக்குது. பட் ஸ்டில் நம்ம அஸ் அ சொசைட்டியாக அவங்கள வந்து அப்படி தான் பார்க்குறோம். அஸ் அ சொசைட்டியாக, ஜென்ரல் சொசைட்டியாக அப்படி தான் பார்க்குறோம். ஸோ அவங்களுக்கு கவர்மெண்ட்டில் என்ன மாதிரியான ரீஹாபிலிட்டேஷன் சர்வீசஸ் இருக்குது? ஸோ அவங்களுக்கு அது ஆக்சுவலாக வந்து யூஸ்ஃபுல்லாக இருக்கா? அந்த சிஸ்டம்லேருந்து வெளில கொண்டு வரத்துக்கு நம்ம கவர்மெண்ட்லேருந்தும் எப்படி நம்ம பண்ணுறோம்? அந்த ஒரு டவுட்ஸ்.
So I would say a sensitivity towards this issue needs to be built in our community. So it is mainly because of the stigma that is developed. We tend to victimize them or put them in a box and see them differently. So we just have to develop this trauma-informed approach, we call it as, right? So if that sensitization is there, if that is able to be built in the community through awareness and everything, this particular point that you're making will be addressed, is what I believe. And apart from that, when it comes to rehabilitating them, like you rightly pointed out, there are rehabilitation measures set, and government works with civil society organization, particularly to provide rehabilitation for victims of sexual trafficking. So they will be part of those organizations that are able to provide rehabilitation services to them. There are short stay home, there are programs that they run at short stay home, through which they are able to be empowered. The one point that I want to highlight here is that the sensitivity that you and I, a society, needs to develop with trauma-informed approach.
இல்லை, இப்போ விமனுக்கு சொல்லிட்டீங்க. இப்போ சப்போஸ் சில்ட்ரனை வந்து இன்வால்வ் பண்ணுறாங்க அப்படின்னா அவங்கள வந்து தனியாலாம் ஹோம் கிடையாது, நம்ம நார்மலாக இருக்க சிசிஐயில் தான் போட்டு அவங்களுக்கு ப்ராப்பரான கவுன்சிலிங், சைக்காலஜிக்கலாக, சைக்காட்ரிக், மெடிக்கல், இது மாதிரி ஃபுல்லாக அவங்களுக்கு கொடுத்து அவங்கள நல்ல அதுலேருந்து வெளியே கொண்டு வந்து கரெக்டான ஒரு ஸ்கில் ட்ரைனிங் கொடுத்து அது ஸ்கூலுக்கு வந்து ஸ்பெஷல் எஜுகேஷன் கொடுத்து அடுத்து ரெகுலர் ஸ்கூலுக்கு வர வைக்கிற மாதிரி பண்ணிக்கிட்டு இருக்கு. இது வந்து சில்ட்ரனுக்கு.
Thanks everyone. I enjoyed listening to all of your reflections. Thank you.
Thank you to our moderator and panelists for those insightful perspectives. We now move to the moment of appreciation and felicitation to honor our esteemed panelists for sharing their valuable expertise and insights with us. The gift hamper being presented today has been beautifully handcrafted and thoughtfully packed by adults with special needs through the Special Needs Empowerment Hub. This gesture reflects our shared commitment to inclusion, empowerment, and recognizing the abilities and potential of every individual. I now request Dr. R. Pavanidhi Vembulu, Center for Social Justice and Equity, Cell, to honor our moderator, Dr. Jafar, Assistant Professor, Madras Institute of Development Studies. Thank you, sir. I now request Ms. Diravya, President of Social Work Forum, to facilitate Dr. Esther Maria Selvam, Action Aid Association. Thank you, ma'am. I now request Ms. Suveda, Program Committee Coordinator of Conference Social Work Forum, to facilitate Mr. Kalia Perumal, State Coordinator, Indian Labour Line. Thank you, sir. I request Mr. Vasant, Assistant Professor, PG Department of Social Work, to felicitate Mr. Solomon, IJM. Thank you, sir. I now request Dr. J. Lakshmi, Associate Professor, Conference Convener, and Mr. Anthony Stephen, Assistant Professor, MSSW, to facilitate Ms. Asha Parak Nandini, Member of Child Welfare Committee. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you to all our distinguished panelists for the enlightening and thoughtful provoking session. I also request the panelists to stay for the valid session. Can you go on? Everybody is requested to remain silent.
I request everyone to remain silent, please. Before we move into the valedictory session, let us now look at the Forum AV, which beautifully captures the many activities and achievements carried out throughout the year. Thank you, media team, for beautifully putting this up together. As we move towards the valedictory session, we reflect on the powerful discussions that have unfolded today. Discussions that challenge us not just to think, but to act. To debate the valedictory session, I invite Ms. Keetana, Joint Treasurer of Social Work Forum, to deliver the welcome address.
Good evening to our esteemed dignitaries, distinguished speakers, faculty members, research scholars, participants, and my dear friend. Before I begin, I would like to share Tamil thought. புலம்பெயர்தல் என்பது ஒரு பயணம் மட்டுமல்ல, இது மனிதரின் வாழ்வாதாரத்திற்கான போராட்டம். I am K. Kirtana of Joint Treasurer of the Social Work Forum, Madras School of Social Work. It is an honor to extend a warm welcome to all of you to the valedictory session of the National Conference on From Push to Pull, Unveiling the Realities of Migration. On behalf of the Social Work Forum and the Department of Social Work Aided, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to everyone for your active participation throughout this day. This conference has served a vital platform for academicians, practitioners, policymakers, and students to critically engage with complex dimensions of human mobility. Today's session provided profound insights into migration, covering themes such as livelihoods, labor rights, gender migration, trafficking, and the multi-faced vulnerabilities faced by the migrant communities. The engaging discussion and paper presentation have undoubtedly deepened our understanding of the lived realities and urgent policy implications surrounding this topic. At this juncture, I take great privilege in welcoming the dignitaries who graced us with their presence of this valedictory session. A special welcome to Dr. Bernard D. Sami, Senior Fellow at Lister, who has graciously accepted invitation to deliver the valedictory address. Sir, your extensive expertise in social development and your significant research and contribution in the field of migration are truly inspiring. We are honored to have you with us today, sir. We welcome you, sir. I also extend a warm welcome to Mr. Sachidananda Valan Michael, Head, Field Office at UNHCR. Your tireless efforts and dedication in addressing migration and refugee-related issues provided a guiding light for humanitarian action. We are grateful for your presence and looking forward for your invaluable insights, sir. We welcome you, sir. It's my privilege to welcome our respected principal, Dr. S. Raja Samvin, Madras School of Social Work. Thank you, sir, for your constant encouragement and unwavering support in ensuring academic excellence within our institution. We welcome you, sir. I would also like to welcome our Dean, Dr. R. Subhashini, Madras School of Social Work, whose guidance has been instrumental in facilitating this academic endeavor. We welcome you, ma'am. I also extend my heartfelt welcome to our Head of the Department of Social Work Aider, Dr. A. Enoch, whose leadership and guidance and support academic initiative like this conference. I would also like to warmly welcome Dr. J. Lakshmi, Conference Convener and Faculty Coordinator of the Social Work Forum, whose guidance and coordination played a significant role in organizing this conference successfully. I also extend a warm welcome to Ms. Sharmila V, Secretary of the Social Work Forum, whose active involvement contribute to the smooth conduct of this event. My sincere appreciation goes out to the speakers, panelists, paper presenters, yes, ma'am, faculty members and volunteers whose dedication made this conference a resounding success. Emerging social work professions, the insight gained today compel us to address migration-related challenges with increased sensitivity, commitment, and professional responsibility. It's our responsibility to contribute toward inclusive policies that ensures dignity, protection, and social justice for migrants. Once again, a heartfelt welcome to all the dignitaries and participants to closing this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Keertana. And now, putting the spotlight on our talented street play team for an impactful performance.
அக்கா அக்கா பஜ்ஜி இருக்குமாக்கா?
नहीं बेटा, चाय चाय।
चाय नहीं, बज्जी बज्जी।
अरे मालिक क्या चाय?
சரி இது வேலைக்காவது. அந்த கடைக்கு. அக்கா
क्या भाई?
பஜ்ஜி இருக்குமா?
ब्रेड ऑमलेट है, ब्रेड ऑमलेट?
பிரெட் வச்சு பஜ்ஜி போடுவீங்களா?
बज्जी नहीं बेटा, ब्रेड ऑमलेट, ब्रेड ऑमलेट। पानी पूरी, पानी पूरी।
பானி பூரி नहीं, இல்ல பஜ்ஜி பஜ்ஜி।
नहीं भाई।
இல்ல நம்ம அங்க போய்டுவோம்.
नहीं नहीं भाई।
என்னதான் பண்ணாலும் அங்க போய்டுவோம். பஜ்ஜி இருக்கா பஜ்ஜி?
क्या?
பஜ்ஜி.
बज्जी नहीं।
பஜ்ஜி நெய் போட்டு வேணா, எண்ணெயிலே போட்டு. ஆயில். पेपर आइल पुट
नहीं नहीं
बज्जी नहीं पानी पूरी नहीं बज्जी வேணா வேலைக்காவது அங்க ஒருத்தர் இருக்காரு அவர்கிட்ட போய் எந்த கடையில இருக்காச்சு கேட்டலாம் भैया थोड़ा देर रुको भैया ఇక్కడ பஜ்ஜி பஜ்ஜி
நமக்கு தமிழ் தெரியும் நீ மேல் பேசு
இங்க பஜ்ஜி கடை இருக்கா
பஜ்ஜி கடை எல்லாம் இல்ல 240 வேணா இருக்கு வாங்கிட்டு போதா
பஜ்ஜி
பஜ்ஜி எல்லாம் நை இங்க ஃபுல்லா நம்ம ஆளுங்க தான் நம்ம போடுறது தான் பஜ்ஜி இல்லையா
ब्रेड ऑमलेट
ब्रेड ऑमलेट बज्जी बज्जी ब्रेड ऑमलेट अरे मालिक
एक ब्रेड ऑमलेट है
பானிபூரி கடை அதிகமாயிடுச்சு பஜ்ஜி கடையை காணோம் இந்த மாதிரி மைக்ரேஷன்ல திரிக்கிற வைக்கிற மாதிரி எவ்வளவோ நம்ம பார்த்துட்டோம் ஆனா நம்ம அதை பத்தி சிந்திக்க வைக்கிற மாதிரி ஒரு நாடகத்தை பார்க்கலாமா சரி சொல்ல போறேன் கேளு கதை சொல்ல போறேன் கேளு சின்ன சின்ன கிராமம் இது சிங்கார கிராமம் விவசாயம் பார்த்து கடனாளியா தான் ஆகிட்டு இருக்கேன் நான் பேசாம இந்த முனுசாமி மாமன் போயிருந்தான்ல அந்த மாதிரி பட்டணத்துக்கு போய் நானும் சம்பாரிச்சு இந்த
விவசாயத்தை யாருப்பா பாக்குறது இப்படி எல்லாருமே போயிட்டீங்கன்னா விவசாயத்தை யாரு தம்பி பாக்குறது
எவ்வளவுதாம்மா கடன் வாங்கி விவசாயத்தை பார்க்க முடியும் கடனை வாங்கி பயிரை வச்சா மழை வர மாட்டேங்குது சரி மழை அடிச்சு ஊத்துனா ஒரு அடியா ஊத்திடுது இது ரெண்டுமே இல்லாம பயிர் விலை வச்சா விலைவாசியை பறிச்சிடறானுங்க இப்பெல்லாம் இருக்கும்போது என்னதாம்மா பண்றது கடனுக்கு ஆமா ஆமா இருக்கட்டும்மா தம்பி தான் சொல்றா புள்ளல கிராமத்துல இருந்து எத்தனை நாள் தான் பொழைக்கிறது நீ போன டவுனுக்கு நானும் ஒரு 10 மாசம் கழிச்சு நானும் வரேன்னு நான் போய் பார்த்துட்டு சொல்றேன் சரிம்மா நான் வரேம்மா
இந்த பக்கம்
முனுசாமி மாமனே எப்படி இருக்க
என்னடா ஊர்ல இருந்து இவ்வளவு எடுத்து வந்துட்டு எனக்கு பலகாரமா
இதெல்லாம் என் துணிமணிடா
துணிமணியா எவ்வளவு நாளைக்கு ஒரு வாரத்துக்கு வரேன்ன
ஒரு வாரத்துக்கா
ஆமா
ஊருக்குள்ள உன் பேச்சுதான்
என்ன
நீ வெளியூர் வந்துட்டு சம்பாதிக்கிற செட்டில் ஆக போற இவ்வளவு பெரிய வீடு கட்ட போற அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு இருக்காங்க
நானு
உன்னை நம்பி நான் இதெல்லாம் தூக்கிட்டு இங்க வந்துட்டேன் நீ என்னை காப்பாற்றுவ வேலை வாங்கிட்டு
நீ வேற போடா நான் வந்து வெறும் 20-25 ரூபாய்க்கு சம்பளத்துக்கு வேலைக்கு வந்து வீட்டுல கடன் கட்டுறதே சரியா இருக்கு மாசம் எனக்கே 2000 ரூபாய் தான் நிக்குது இதுல எங்க இருந்து நான் இதெல்லாம் பண்றது
பாவத்தை அப்போ இதுக்கு பேசாம வெளிநாடே போயிருக்கலாமோ
வெளிநாடு நீ நியூஸ் எல்லாம் பாக்குறது இல்ல இப்ப அங்க குண்டு போட்டுட்டு இருக்கா இதுல எங்க போய் வெளிநாடு போவ
அப்ப என்னதான் பண்றது
பேசாம ஊர் பக்கம் போய் புலப்ப பாடுற
போடா அங்க இருந்தா நான் கிளம்பி இங்க வந்தா நீ ஊருக்கே போடாங்கிற
போடா
இந்த மாதிரி நம்ம உள்ளூர்ல இருந்து வெளியூருக்கு வந்து பண்ண கதையெல்லாம் பார்த்தோம் இப்போ நம்ம ஆட்களே வெளிநாட்டுக்கு போறதுக்கு பாடுபடுற கதைலாம் இருக்கு அந்த கதையை பார்த்தலாமா சவுண்டே காணோம் வெளியூருக்கு போயிட்டு ஏதாச்சும் பண்ணிடணும் போலாமா
ஐயா ஐயா
ஆ,
நீங்க
வாப்பா.
கேட்ட ஃபைல் எல்லாம் இருக்கு ஐயா.
ஏன்பா நேத்தே வேற என்ன ஆளே காணோம், என்னப்பா?
லோனு கொடுக்க லேட் ஆயிடுச்சு ஐயா.
எல்லாம் காசெல்லாம் சரியா இருக்குல்ல?
என்
ஆ.
வீட வித்து என் நிலத்தை அடமான வச்சு எடுத்து வந்திருக்கேன் ஐயா.
அதெல்லாம் எனக்கு தேவையில்ல, காசு இருக்குல்ல?
இருக்கு ஐயா.
ஓகே ஓகே
ஐயா கண்டிப்பா நான்
போயிடலாம்ப்பா, நான் இருக்கேன், நான் பாத்துக்கிறேன். அதெல்லாம் ஒண்ணும் இல்ல, நான் பாத்துக்கிறேன்.
பறந்துடலாம் ஐயா.
பறந்துடலாம்ப்பா, அதெல்லாம் ஒண்ணும் இல்லப்பா, நான் பாத்துக்கிறேன்.
உங்களை நம்பிதாயா போறேன்.
சரிப்பா, ஆளுங்களா இருக்கான், சொல்லி வைக்கிறேன் போ.
ரொம்ப நன்றி ஐயா.
வணக்கம். இன்றைய முக்கிய செய்திகள். வெளிநாட்டுக்கு அனுப்புவதாக கூறி பண மோசடி செய்த AA நிறுவன தலைவர் ஆகாயம் தலைமறைவு. மக்கள் கலவரம்.
ஐயோ
இந்த மாதிரி வெளிநாட்டுக்கு போறதுக்கு மட்டும் இல்ல, வெளிநாட்டுக்கு போனதுக்கு அப்புறமும் அவங்க தங்கறதுக்கு சாப்பிடறதுக்கு ஏன் வேலை செய்யறதுக்கு கூட அவ்வளவு கஷ்டப்படுறாங்க. இதுல டூரிஸ்ட் விசாவும் அதுல அனுப்பிட்டு வேற கோல்மால் நடக்குது. இந்த மாதிரி எல்லா கஷ்டத்தையும் சகிச்சுக்கிட்டு வேலை பார்க்கலான்னு வேலை பார்த்தா அந்த நாட்டுக்கார இந்த நாட்டுக்கார சேர்ந்து அந்த நாட்டுல போய் குஞ்சு போடுறான். நம்ம இந்த கதையெல்லாம் நடக்கும் போது இவ்வளவு பிரச்சனையிலையும் நம்ம ஆட்கள் மைக்ரேட் ஆகி போய்கிட்டு தான் இருக்காங்க. அந்த மாதிரி நடந்த இன்னும் சில சம்பவங்களையும் சேர்த்து பார்த்துடலாமா? மறுபடியும் சவுண்டா காணோம்.
ஓகே சார் ஓகே சார். வந்துடுவேன் சார். வந்துடுவேன். அந்த மீட்டிங் தானே? அதையும் அட்டெண்ட் பண்ணுறேன். போன எடுத்தாலே நொய்யி நொய்யின்னு. நீ ஆச்சும் ஒரு டீ ப்ளஸ் ஸ்ட்ராங்கா சக்கரை கொஞ்சம் கம்மியா போட்டுட்டாங்க.
இந்த தரங்க இந்த தரங்க.
சீக்கிரம் தாயா.
என்னண்ணா
என்னது இது?
என்னண்ணா
தண்ணியில சக்கரை போட்டு தந்து வச்சிருக்க.
நல்லா தானே போட்டுருக்கேன்.
இந்த மாதிரி இது சின்ன சின்ன சம்பவம் தான். இதே மாதிரி ரீசன்ட் டைம்ல நிறைய விஷயங்கள் நடந்திருக்கு. உண்மை சம்பவத்தை சேர்த்து பார்த்தலாமா?
என்னம்மா சமைக்கிறீங்களா? கொடுங்க. என்ன சமையல் இன்னைக்கு?
சாம்பார் தான் வச்சிருக்கோம். இன்னும் எத்தனை நாளுங்க நம்ம இந்த பிளாட்ஃபார்ம்லயே இருக்கிறது?
என்னம்மா பண்றது? இந்த மாதிரி வெளியூருக்கு வந்தாதான் பிள்ளைங்களை நல்லா படிக்க வச்சு வேலைக்கு அனுப்ப முடியும். நம்ம ஊர்லயே இருந்தா என்ன பண்றது?
பொம்பளை பிள்ளையெல்லாம் வச்சிருக்கோம். நம்ம எப்படிங்க தனியா இங்க இருக்க முடியும்? நானும் ஒரு நாள் கல்லு வீட்டுக்கு போகலான்னு பாக்குறேன். பிளாட்ஃபார்ம்லயே இருக்கோமே.
போலாமா போலாம், பார்க்கலாம்.
இவங்களும் நம்ம மாநிலத்துல இருந்து தான் வந்தாங்க. அவங்க மட்டும் அவங்க வீட்டுல மட்டும் சாப்பாடு எல்லாம் இருக்கு. ஒருவேளை அவங்க வீட்டுல நிறைய காசு இருக்குமோ? பூண்டுடலாமா? ஏய் ஓடுறா.
சேருமிடம் திருத்தணி. அடுத்த ரயில் நிலையம் அரக்கோணம். ரீல்ஸ் பண்ணலாம் வாங்க.
பண்ணு. ஹலோ गाइस, பிள்ளைங்க இங்க பாருங்க, ஒரு வடக்க உட்கார்ந்திருக்கான். அந்த வடக்க வந்து கட்டா போற போஸ்ட்ல உட்கார்ந்திருக்கான். இங்க எல்லாம் பாருங்க. ஓரமா நில்லு. நில்றா. நீ பார்த்தல நம்ம தான் எல்லாம்.
இந்த மாதிரி நம்ம தமிழ்நாட்டுல இருந்து வெளியே போனாலும் சரி, வெளியே இருந்து தமிழ்நாட்டுக்குள்ள வந்தாலும் சரி, பிரச்சனைங்கிறது எல்லார் வாழ்க்கையிலும் இருந்துட்டு தாங்க இருக்கு. இந்த பிரச்சனையெல்லாம் மீறி அவங்கவுங்க வளர்ச்சிக்கு பாடுபட்டுக்கிட்டு இருக்காங்க, வேலை செஞ்சுக்கிட்டு இருக்காங்க. அத நம்ம பொறாமையோ இல்ல வன்மமோ எந்த ஒரு கோபமோ இல்லாம அவங்க வேலையை பாக்குறாங்க, நம்ம வேலையை பாக்குறோம்னு சொல்லிட்டு எல்லாமே மனுஷங்க தான் அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு நல்ல மனசோட நம்ம இருந்தோம் அப்படின்னா எல்லாருக்குமே நல்லதுதாங்க. அனைவருக்கும் சமூக
thank you to our talented street play team for that powerful and thought-provoking performance. Your efforts and creativity truly brought the message to life and left us with much to reflect on. I request all the dignitaries of the valedictory session to please occupy the dais. Now, I request Ms. Sharmila, Secretary of Social Work Forum, to kindly present the National Conference report highlighting the key sessions and learnings of the day.
Good evening to everyone present here. Distinguished guests, esteemed speakers, respected faculty members, members of the media, fellow members of the Department of Social Work, aided, and dear students. It is with immense pride and privilege that I, Sharmila V, Secretary of the Social Work Forum 2025-2026, stand before you to present the report of the National Conference on From Push to Pull, Unveiling the Realities of Migration. This conference served as a meaningful platform to explore the complexities of migration, understand its push and pull factors, and critically examine the vulnerabilities, rights, and lived realities of migrant populations across gender, age, and socio-economic background. Before I proceed, I extend my sincere appreciations to our distinguished speakers, panelists, organized committee, and all participants for their invaluable contributions. Your dedication and enthusiasm have made this conference a resounding success. The conference begins with the inaugural session presided over by Dr. S. Raja Samuel, Principal, Madras School of Social Work. He emphasized that migration is a natural human process influenced by factors such as opportunities, disasters, and global crises like the COVID-19. He concluded by stressing the role of social work in developing systems that protect and support vulnerable and marginalized migrant population. The presidential address emphasized the importance of migration studies in social work education and highlighted the need for evidence-based intervention. Dr. Kristodas Gandhi addressed the gathering by highlighting the exploitation faced by the many migration workers and the situation of refugees, especially from Sri Lanka, who migrated due to conflict and insecurity. We were honored by the presence of Dr. S. Irudiyarajan, Chair at the International Institute of Migration and Development, who shared valuable insights on the current migration trend where the situations increasingly recruited to the US. Migrants often face severe hardships and may die earlier than non-migrants, sacrifices faced by them. The plenary session was delivered by Dr. Chetan, Assistant Professor, the topic Migration and Livelihood in India. He elaborated that migration acts as an important livelihood strategy, especially for economically weaker section. He concluded the need for inclusive policies that recognize migrant workers' contribution and ensure better social protection and dignified livelihood. In the technical session 1, Ms. Anuradha Nagaraj, Associate Professor, Azim Premji University, delivered a session on migration and labor rights. She highlighted that migrant laborers often move between states where their identity and recognition change from source to destination. The session stressed the urgent need to strengthen migrants' labor rights and involves in understanding their real needs. She emphasized improving access to education, healthcare and social security, nothing that migrants remain visible in society, yet often lack access to essential services. In the technical session 2, Mr. Anthony Stephen, Assistant Professor of Social Entrepreneurship, Madras School of Social Work, who shares his insight about homelessness based on the Homeless People Survey conducted by the Greater Chennai Corporation. The panel discussion on theme Migration and Vulnerability, addressing trafficking, exploitation and protection across gender and age was moderated by Dr. J. Jaffer, Assistant Professor, Madras Institute of Development Studies. The distinguished panelists included Dr. Esther Maria Selvam, Associate Director, ActionAid Association, who spoke on gendered migration, vulnerabilities and intervention. Mr. Kaliya Perumal, who discussed on realities of circular migration from crisis to rescue. Mr. Solomon, International Justice Mission, who addressed bonded labor, human trafficking and the exploitations of migration. Ms. Asha Parekh Nandini, Member Child Welfare Committee, who highlighted how migration increases the risk of child trafficking and exploitations. At last, the speakers discussed vulnerabilities such as exploitation, trafficking and emphasized how unsafe migration increases risk for women and children. Overall, the session stressed the need for stronger protection system, awareness and coordinated intervention to safeguard migrant community. Paper presentation. The Social Work Forum proudly facilitated paper presentations from students, scholars and academicians across institutions, presented 54 papers. The presentations consisted of the following themes: survival, protection and human rights, identity, gender, policy and global realities, long-term migrations drivers. Before concluding, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished speakers, panelists, faculty members, organizing committee, volunteers and participants for making this conference a meaningful success, and special thanks for the participants who actively participated in the street play which highlighted about the migration. Let me conclude with a powerful thought in Tamil. இடம்பெயர்வு ஒரு பயணம் மட்டுமல்ல, அது ஒரு புதிய அடையாளத்தின் தொடக்கம். Thank you.
Thank you for the detailed report, Ms. Sharmila. So now I invite Ms. Aishwarya S. to introduce our distinguished guest, Dr. Bernard D. Sami, Senior Fellow at LISTA.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my privilege to introduce Dr. Bernard Ishame, Senior Fellow at the Loyola Institute of Social Science Training and Research, Loyola College, Chennai. He previously served as Associate Professor and Head of the Department of History at Loyola College and was also a guest faculty at Indian Institute of Technology, Madras from 2011 to 2021. A distinguished academic and media commentator On political and international affairs, Dr. Bernard Deschamais has guided 14 PhD scholars and continues to mentor several others. In 2022, he headed a committee constituted by the government of Tamil Nadu to write a book on Tamil Nadu's contribution to the freedom struggle. His international academic engagements include fellowships and programs at institutions such as the University of Oxford and the International Institute of Humanitarian in Law, Italy. We're truly honored to have him with us today. On behalf of everyone present here, I warmly welcome and thank Dr. Bernard Deschamais for joining us. So we look forward to your valuable insights.
ரொம்ப டைம் ஆகிடுச்சு, நீங்கள் எல்லோரும் வீட்டுக்கு போகிறதுக்கு தயாராக இருக்கிறீங்க. ஸ்ட்ரீட் லைட் வேறு போட்டு முடிச்சிட்டாங்க, அதனால் அந்த மூடுக்கு போயிட்டோம்னா நம்மளால் ரொம்ப இல்லை, we may not be able to concentrate for a serious input. I am sure that valedictory is also not meant for any serious input. But at that outset, I would like to thank the Madras School of Social Work for organizing this national conference on From Push to Pull, Unveiling the Realities of Migration. And I also take this opportunity to thank all who are responsible for organizing this. Professor Yunak is here, Madam Lakshmi is here, the Dean is here, and my friend Balan is here, and other colleagues of the other teaching faculty members of the School of Social Work, and the dear students. I thought I will leave with you two thoughts today. Not a time to give a big valedictory address, and you also have invited two of us to share the valedictory address, so I will make it very short. Number one, myself, Hirday Rajan, we are working together for a very, very long time on international migration, and he would have placed before you many things. And one thing I wanted to place before you today is, as the war is raging in West Asia, 16,000 construction workers are in Israel. And in next 5 years, the number has to be enhanced to 50,000. Right now, as we are speaking right now, 16,000 construction workers. So when Israel attacked Gaza and then stopped people from coming because Palestinians were the cheap labor for Israel, and with the 2023 attack, October 7th, they stopped the Palestinians from entering Israel. With that, they have signed the manpower exchange agreement with other countries, and India is one of the countries. So in next 5 years, 50,000 will be in Israel. Now there are 16,000. You know what is happening in Israel, right? So right now the workers are in the very, very, very difficult circumstances. Like that, you can also imagine the workers in other Gulf countries. 18 million Indians are living with Indian passports. We are not talking about people of Indian origin, PIO. We are not talking about Indian diaspora. I am talking about the NRIs, non-resident Indians. Dr. Hirday Rajan also will tell you whether they are non-resident Indians or not required Indians, right? So the non-resident Indians number is 18 million, and in that 8.3 million are in the Gulf countries. So you can now think of the condition in which they are working. Many are unable to work, and some of them are with their families. They wanted to return, and I don't know how many are going to return. I think this will be the major return, a major labor crisis in the last 50 years. Not, the earlier crisis, they were relating only to India or to some of the South Asian countries. But now all the sending countries are going to take back, or forcibly the migrants will be returned to their countries. So this is the condition of the international migration. And the second one, I thought that what I will leave with you is, recently we were working on a Migrants Manifesto, MWRC, Migrant Workers' Rights Coalition. We are about 10 organizations who are working on interstate migration and on international migration. We thought that we will present to the Tamil Nadu government, not Tamil Nadu government, to the political parties of Tamil Nadu a Migrants Manifesto, as the state is going to have the election in the month of April, May. So in the Migrants Manifesto, we said that Tamil Nadu is one of the sending states, and Kerala is also a sending state, but the way in which Kerala protects migrant workers, Tamil Nadu is not protecting. In Kerala, there is recognition and visibility for migrant workers. Every year there are at least 1 or 2 movies, and about 6 to 10 returned migrants are MLAs in the assembly. If anything goes wrong, immediately they are able to raise it in the form of a question and make the government, make Kerala department to make interventions. The chief minister every year makes a visit to the Gulf countries. When the Wayanad flood happened, all the Gulf countries were ready to help Kerala. And because the money has to come from the union government, and because of that they said no. Otherwise, governments were ready to give money directly to the Kerala government. So Kerala's model and 8 rounds of migration survey, KMS, Kerala Migration Survey. Kerala has the exact number of how many are leaving Kerala and where they are living in the Gulf countries. Malappuram district is the highest of immigrants, and Tirur Taluk in Malappuram district has the highest number of migrants. This kind of data is very much important. 8 rounds, and with a very great difficulty we were able to take the 2015 migration. 2015 in Tamil Nadu, that's the only survey that has been taken, and that is a number everybody quotes today, 2.2 million from Tamil Nadu. 1.3 returnees, 2.2 million immigrants. So the NRIs in Tamil Nadu is 3.5. This is a number we are quoting for the last 15 years. So we have also asked the Tamil Nadu government to take, once in 5 years, once in 3 years, a survey on migration. Migration is dynamic. The corridors of migration are changing every day. The working group on migration, which was constituted by the union government, suggested that it recommended to the NSSO, National Sample Survey Organization, once in 6 months the data of the interstate migration should be made available, because it's a dynamic one. It's not a static one. So in that way, data is very important, and one of the things we have asked the Tamil Nadu government to undertake a survey and to confirm and reconfirm the number that we gave in 2015. Also we said that this is the only country we have 2 categories of persons, ECR and ECNR. If you are not 10th passed, then you will come under the ECNR category. Then the protector of immigrants has to put a seal saying that, this person can go for work, and I suspend, he has to give a suspension in your passport. No other country in the world has this ECR and ECNR. And Tamil Nadu and other states are states where everybody, passes or crosses the +2. In that way, there is no need for the ECR category. And by abolishing the ECR category, we should also be able to identify who is leaving Tamil Nadu and India for work, labor migration. We don't have any data on labor migration. Women are allowed to leave the country even now for work only after 30 years. We don't know why these 30 years. This is a violation. Yesterday we celebrated International Women's Day. But there is a violation. Only after 30 years they can go for work. This we have been asking that the union government to scrap it. Right to work, the freedom of right to work is violated. Right to movement is violated for women. And Tamil Nadu government has started a NRT, non-resident Tamils, and the non-resident Tamils every year organizes a program in the month of January 12th, 13th, and they bring all non-resident Tamils all over, wherever they are living, particularly from Fiji, Mauritius, US, Canada. Not a word is spoken about labor migration. Dr. Idirajan would always say that the Indian diaspora may have their heart for India, they may have their heart for India, but their bank balances are in Swiss banks. It is the migrant workers in the Gulf countries and in Singapore and Malaysia, they send the money faithfully back home every month. This is what, the remittance is the oxygen for India's economy. 25% of our foreign earnings are coming from remittances. Kerala economy is a remittance economy. Tamil Nadu economy is also becoming a remittance economy because of aging. I am sure that your institute is taking number of studies on those things. So we have asked some of these things to the Tamil Nadu government in the coming elections and asking the union government to pass. We don't have 1983 Act has been, they are amending, and now there is a bill that is pending with the government of India that they introduced in the month of October. Not even 3-4 months back they have introduced. Welfare and Facilitation Bill 2025. This bill has to be passed. And you witnessed a street theater where, you saw the sub-agents, agents and sub-agents cheating people. They cheat right and left, they cheat everyone. And the new act actually recognized not only the agents but also sub-agents. So now we are telling agents and sub-agents, welcome and exploit us. This is a message we are giving, and I don't know how we are going to regulate that. These are all some of the things we have asked that the state government to control, to take action on the erring agents and sub-agents. And people are now going for shutdown work. People should be protected when they leave the country. And India also should sign the International Convention on Migration. It is an international convention on migration. This is the only convention which is named so well, which says that International Convention to protect the rights of the migrants and their families. So the migrant is in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Bahrain, and the family is here. He should be protected in the destination country, and the family should be protected in the source country. Both are protected in this convention, and only the receiving countries have problem with this convention. All the sending countries have signed this convention. Sri Lanka has signed, Pakistan has signed, Nepal has signed, Bangladesh has signed. What is the problem for us to sign in order to protect our migration? I leave all this to you to take it up campaign in the days to come in order to protect the migrants. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable insights and making us aware with the recent realities. Next, I invite Ms. Gayatri to introduce our esteemed guest, Mr. Sachidananda Valan Michael, Head of Field Office at UNHCR.
Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Sachidananda Valan Michael, Head of the Chennai Field Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, the UN Refugee Agency. He has been leading the UNHCR operations in South India since 2014 and plays a key role in addressing refugee protection and humanitarian issues in the region. Mr. Valan also serves as a member of the State Government Advisory Committee for Sri Lankan Refugees Welfare in Tamil Nadu. With over 18 years of experience in the humanitarian sector, he has worked with international organizations, governments, and corporate foundations on refugee welfare and humanitarian initiatives. He holds a postgraduate degree in social work from Loyola College, Chennai, and has also attended the summer school program on forced migration at the Refugee Studies Center, University of Oxford. We are truly delighted to have him with us today. I warmly welcome and thank Mr. Valan Michael for joining us. Sir, the floor is yours.
அனைவருக்கும் இனிய மாலை வணக்கம். I am very much glad to be here because MSSW is very much a collaborator for UNHCR in promoting the refugees' welfare and protection. And in this conference today, there is one essential component that I wanted to bring in. Of course, this was brought in already in one of the panel as I have seen it, that the refugees component. The refugees, we do have a lot of discussions going on whether we could call them as migrants or we should distinguish them from calling them as a migrants, or we need to call them as a refugees, because refugees is somebody who is forced to flee. So for that very purpose, I will be adding a few perspectives from UNHCR and also my own personal perspectives. For this purpose, I am very much happy that the MSSW forum has considered me also to be part of one of the speaker at the valedictory session. So my respects to the principal, to the dean and the faculty members and the students, and also my own professor Dr. Bernardi Swami, who is here, and it's a privilege to be part of it, and my own friend Dr. Stephen and also Dr. Maria Selvam, who have been also that we have been working and probably we were developing us together on various fronts. So on this aspect, I just wanted to share two specific aspects to this particular component on why we need to think about migration, and also when we need to think about migration, we need to think about refugees. So I just want to ask you one question probably. What was a significant day yesterday? Women's Day, right? That's the only thing happened yesterday. Is there anything else happened yesterday? Yes, right? So India won the T20 match, right? So why I just wanted to ask you is because there is one particular thing which really pulled my attention when I was happened to watch that particular. There is one advertisement played repeatedly in that in between breaks, right? Whenever somebody hits 6 or 4 or probably when somebody is out. The Lilly Pharma, did you watch? Do you know what is that all about? Lilly Pharma? No? Right. So basically I felt it is one of the way that we need to look at the society as social workers, because nowadays the world is changing very rapidly, and the rapid change is also very precisely brought into our attention by the great street theatre team, which performed really well, and I just want to commend them because they were very trendy, right? I just wanted to use such words, but I am lack of that words because I am not aware of it. I belong to another generation. Only in this room I was observing, myself was making notes, and also Dr. Esther was making some notes with a paper and pen. The others may be making it in their mobile phone, including Mr. Stephen. So what I see is, like, when we are changing, the world is changing, we need to really observe it very closely to understand it. Otherwise we'll be missing the lot of links. And one of this link is about the Lilly Pharmacy is that they are advertising medicines for obesity. I don't want to mention any names. I don't want to talk about the names of the medicine because that's not appropriate to mention any specific names in this forum. But one thing which I felt about the medicine is that it is enabling, or it is giving a result within 3 months, 10% of weight reduction within 3 months. That's what it's assuring. And it's, of course, every month you need to spend almost like 25,000 rupees for that. And but otherwise we used to be a community or a society where we had to spend like 1,000 rupees to go to a gym, to work out for 6 months, to gain or to lose a body weight of 10%. But now it all happens without anything. You continue eat whatever you feel like eating, you continue to sit wherever you want to sit, and you continue to do whatever that you want to do, but you just spend some money and eat the pills. Then you will be like fit. That's what the medicines and the society is communicating to us. So that is something which I wanted to bring it to your attention. And similarly, there is also one more thing that really attracted me was yesterday, exactly day before yesterday, I was just walking in a park near my house, and in that park, there was next to that park there is one new construction is happening, and a mother was bringing 2 children, and already the park was filled with few people walking around who all looked like Tamil Nadu people, local people, and these 2 children wanted to go and play in the swing. And the mother, that is the purpose that she brought them. But she had lot of hesitation to even open the gate to come into the park. And I was just observing it. I was doing some sort of exercising in that park. And then I felt like I was compelled to ask them what is making them to stand there instead of coming in. And luckily there was one very much, very understandable, the caretaker of the park. She went and opened the door for the children to come in to play. And what I was reflecting is possibly there is something was preventing that mother and the children to come into the park, because they feel they don't belong here. They feel they may be kind of challenges they may face if they come in and start playing in that park. So this two instances that I am trying to connect in this component of migration and forced migration today is one is in a world where we are expecting results within a very short span of time, right? Everybody looks into our Facebook, Instagram with a swipe. I think we are getting a dopamine hit. But whereas earlier in those days, when we want that kind of a feeling good or the feel good moment, we always go to somebody's house or go to a friend's place and talk to them. Now that is not needed. I can just keep on swiping, and I can see a reel and I feel happy about it. So the instant gratification is becoming a more of a pattern of our life. Whereas when we are looking at the other side of it, when there is a person like a migrant or a person who feels that they don't belong, a person who feels very apprehensive that there may be a repercussion of them when they start utilizing whatever that they are seeing it in front of them, then probably how are we going to kind of reduce this kind of challenges a person faces, especially the migrants or the refugees, and how we are going to give them instantly a problem solution or solution to a problem. I think with regard to the migration, from my understanding of 20 years working in this field, I see that there is no instant solutions available. There is nothing that is going to help us. There is no tablet is going to come and everybody will have to consume it to solve the problem of migration. But whereas one thing that can resolve the problem is the empathy. And the empathy is basically something that we all need to practice. And how do we practice is what, as a social worker, we all need to really know, because we have the responsibility. We need to shoulder that responsibility on our head and also on our heart. So one such thing is the global frameworks. So the global legal frameworks. We might not be very familiar with what the sir was talking about, the global compact on migration. There are also very many other things that we do have. Global compact on refugees, and we have convention on refugees and convention on statelessness, so many other things. But only one thing that as social workers we need to know is we just need not to be a reader of that convention articles or the clauses, but we are the ones who should understand the spirit behind it. Why we need to have this convention and how this convention can be translated into an action through a grassroots level reflection that we all carry. So as a social workers, this is one thing which I felt, because I studied social work and I practice social work and I still practice it. But when I moved myself into a job opportunity that was given to me in UNHCR, I felt how I am going to connect my social work practice knowledge into the policy practice knowledge. We are all trained to be the best grassroots level workers, field workers. But somehow I think the social work curriculum has not trained us to be the policy makers. And I rarely find policy makers who come from the social work background. I think we all need to aim at it. So let us ring the bell, even from starting from the MSSW, from the principal's room. I'm sure the Dean Madam will be also taking this forward to the curriculum discussions, the Board of Studies, whenever that is happening. That is like we need to ensure we are not only the reader of it, but we are becoming a person who are the one who is writing those kind of conventions, writing those kind of policies. Because when we practice dignity, that is when we can also ensure that the reflection of the real problem from the grassroots are addressed through this kind of a global framework. So my call to you is today, let us not only talk about and also reflect about all the academic learnings, but let us practice it by taking this as a very close to heart subject, because at some point of a time we are all going to be migrants, or even there is a chance, there is a risk that with the way that the global challenges are posing us, we all may be forcefully also migrated, because there is something is going to be a problem at some point of a time for our country or for ourselves or maybe for our future generation. So in that way, let us not leave this as a one of the side subject, but this is going to be the main subject, and let us learn to practice empathy from now, so that when we are in that situation, somebody will be applying the same thing, and I am sure that is how our humanity will grow. And with this great opportunity of talking to you and sharing my perspectives, I wish you all the best, and thank you for the organizers for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable insights and sharing your perspectives.
If we have a mandate to occupy these spaces, we should actually aware people that what and how is going around us in the name of pharmacy, in the name of medical care and all that, and who is that actually. Our political heads, maybe CMs and PMs, are also involved in that. Thank you.
I think it is easy to find out. Everybody has a phone, so I still constrain myself from revealing the name, but I think it's a Lilly Pharmacy. If you just put GLP drugs, they will reveal the different drugs that they are producing and marketing it. Thank you.
Now we move on to honoring our distinguished guest. I request Dr. K. Satyamurthy, Associate Professor, PG Department of Social Work, to honor Dr. Bernard D. Sami. Next. Now I request Dr. R. Subhashini, Dean MSSW, to honor Mr. Sachidananda Valan Michael.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. To share reflections and felicitation address, I invite Dr. R. Subhashini, Dean Madras School of Social Work.
A very good evening to everybody assembled here. I think you had a very long day, and yeah, I think you had a wonderful and a very long day, so I will not take much of your time. I appreciate and acknowledge the presence of our chief guests today, both of them who are here and who I think probably gave a very powerful message as to what migration is and what is the future and things like that. I think the whole day's deliberations must have been focusing on a lot of such aspects of migration itself. And the most well depicted, I think the street play that was depicted, I think played here was very depictive of what migration, what are the challenges and what is happening to migration itself. Of course, I think it is becoming more and more a great concern. The whole idea of migration itself is becoming more a concern today because migration is ancient, has been long, I mean, for many, many years, but then today it has been becoming more a focused area of discussion, and especially as social workers, you have a great role to play in what migration is and how it's going to impact society. Small things like even this pani puri, even I keep getting disturbed, even though I've eaten a lot of pani puri as a young girl itself, but then I think why is it replacing the bhajis that were very common here, the bhaji and vada. So small messages, but then it was very well, depicted. So that is what we are going through, and that is something that we need to think of. So probably today's deliberations must have made you think much more because I came towards the end. And it is a concern to the country, to the world itself, because migration is not particular to India, it is something that encompasses the globe itself. So one needs to ponder over it, think over it, and then you see what best you can, so especially from a social perspective, social workers perspective. Of course, like even Madam was saying, there's a lot of psychological factors involved. One needs to take care of that also. I wish you have had a wonderful day of reflecting, of enlightening yourself and reflecting in what is happening, but like it is to be moved forward means the impact and the, for any discussion, what are you going to do, how are you going to change yourself or impact society is most important. So see what best you can do from today's takeaway from this day's deliberations. You need to definitely take away. I thank the organizers, especially the Department of Social Work, with its head being Professor Enoch, need not say much, and then Professor Lakshmi, and her very, very, very able colleagues who have all supported, and you students, if you were not there to help her organize the whole thing, I think it would not have been a success. I don't know how many, of course, there are a lot of paper presentations that I've heard that research papers were presented today, about 50 odd. It means a good number. So I'm sure it should be a very meaningful day for MSSW because our focus is on social work. And like Sir said, and I wish to tell you humbly, Sir, that we are into policy making also because it's not just discussions and deliberations. Wherever possible, I think I'm thankful to the government of Tamil Nadu also. They have taken our suggestions and tried to see what best we can, how it can be implemented. So we are at least breaking through and seeing that at policy level also, the college has a say in many things. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you for your inspiring words, ma'am. Finally, to express our heartfelt gratitude to everyone who contributed to the success of this conference, I now invite Ms. Jelena, Vice President of Social Work Forum, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening to everyone present here. As we come to close of this insightful and thought-provoking national conference titled From Push to Pull, Unveiling the Realities of Migration, it is my privilege to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of the Social Work Forum of the Department of Social Work Aided, Madras School of Social Work. I would also like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Dr. S. Raja Samuel, Principal of Madras School of Social Work, for his constant encouragement and support in making this conference possible. Our sincere thanks to Dr. A. Enoch, Head of the Department of Social Work Aided, for his guidance and motivation throughout the planning of this event. First and foremost, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to our distinguished valedictory speakers Dr. Bernard D. Swami, Senior Fellow at Lister, and Mr. Sachitananda Valan Michael, Head of Office at UNHCR, for their valuable presence and for sharing their perspectives on migration and global humanitarian issues. We are deeply grateful to Dr. Kristadas Gandhi, retired IAS, for delivering the inaugural address and setting the tone for today's discussions, and to Dr. S. Irudayarajan for the insightful keynote address on migration and its dynamics. I would also like to thank Dr. Chetan Chaitani for the enlightening plenary session that enriched our understanding of migration and development. Our sincere appreciation to the speakers of the technical session, Ms. Anuradha Nagaraj and Assistant Professor Anthony Stephen, for shedding light on migration, livelihoods and labor rights. I would also like to extend our sincere gratitude to the moderator, Dr. K. Jaffer, and the esteemed panelists, Dr. Esther Maria Selvam, Mr. Khalil Perumal, Mr. Solomon, and Ms. Asha Parekh Nandini for their engaging discussion on migration vulnerabilities, labor exploitation, trafficking and gender issues. A special word of thanks to Dr. R. Subhashini, Dean of Madras School of Social Work, for her felicitation and encouragement. I would also like to express our sincere gratitude to our conference convener, Dr. J. Lakshmi, for her tireless efforts in planning and coordinating this conference with great dedication. My sincere thanks to all the faculty members of the Department of Social Work Aided for their valuable guidance and support. I extend my heartfelt appreciation to all the paper presenters, participants and delegates whose contribution made this conference academically and enrichingly meaningful. A special note of thanks to my fellow office bearers and members of the Social Forum, the volunteers and the organizing team who tirelessly worked behind the scenes to ensure smooth conduct of this event. We would like to sincerely thank our sponsors and supporters whose generous contributions and encouragement played an important role in making this conference possible. Last but not the least, I would like to acknowledge the invaluable contribution of the unseen workforce of our institution, the security staff, housekeeping staff, technicians and support staff. As we conclude, I would like to end with a timeless Tamil thought. Yadum Ure, Yavarum Kelir, meaning every place is our hometown and all our people are our kin. Let this remind us to build a society where migrants are treated with dignity, compassion and equal opportunities. Once again, thank you all for being a part of this meaningful journey. Thank you and have a pleasant evening ahead.
Thank you, Jelena. Now I request all the office bearers to gather on the stage for a group photo. I request everyone to kindly rise for the national anthem.
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधितरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल